d7. You wait. Oh, he made a move. Whoa, whoa! He took on g7.
Took on g7. Wow.
Yeah.
It's not so surprising, to be honest, because he has so many pieces in the attack that he really feels he should have something here. And is he gonna play bishop c1?
So Hikaru is up 4 points of material. He has an extra piece, right? Because 2 bishops, knight and bishop, but an extra knight, and he has an extra pawn. And yet,
yeah,
the computer favors Magnus, which means Hikaru has to be very precise to survive this attack. And we're live, everybody. Welcome to day number 6 of the Magnus Carlsen Tour Finals. My name is Levy, and today I'm joined by Aryan Tari. Aryan, say hi to the thousands of screaming chess fans.
Hey guys, nice to be back. Last time was like 1 month ago. It's been so many of these events, so
yeah,
it's great to do it again.
Well, we should probably let everybody know. I mean, not everybody has Twitter, and if you do, you should definitely go on there. Anna, unfortunately, has a. I mean, it's not like the worst health issue, but something with her tooth. She posted also about it, and she's like half of her face is like in pain, and she let us know she was trying her very hardest to make it today, but well, we called upon Aryan, who's gonna join us, Aryan, for like an hour and a half, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Yeah, and so he's doing great. You just came off of a tournament. Tell us about that. I talked about it with you, but over the board chess, right? Which is weird right now. So
yeah, for sure weird. I came back from Italy 3 days ago, so I played a tournament. Yeah, for the first time in such a long time. Yeah, because of the virus. But finally there are some over the board tournaments again, and it actually went pretty well. I won an open tournament in Italy, and yeah, felt really good.
Did you find a place in Italy where there was sun and a beach? Where was it in Italy?
It was in a town called Splimbargo. It's 1 hour from Venice. It's not the biggest town. It's like 12,000 the population, so not so big, but it was nice, and the weather was like really hot.
I remember when I was researching tournaments in Europe that somehow in Italy in particular, they find a way to make a tournament in the most random town, like a town of less than 10,000. You just said 12,000, but
yeah, that's true. They usually don't put the tournaments in big cities like Rome and Venice and yeah, those places. Somehow I won the World Juniors in 2017. That was the last time I was in Italy, and that was also in a town called Tarvisio, also a very small place in the north of Italy.
There you go. We have verification from someone in the chat. Hey, there's gonna be some flexing today. Listen, you had 2 international masters as your hosts, but now you have the second best Norwegian in the world. And what was your peak world ranking? Do you know that?
Peak, like all ages, or?
Well, no, sure. I mean, but also like you broke the top 100, or were you very close? What was your kind of?
I never
Never
hit the top 100s. No, I was close, but like maybe 10, 15 points. I needed more to hit it. Like right now, I need 10, 15 points. Yeah.
Which is a lot at that, right? I mean, 10 or 15 points at 2630 is no joke. Like, is that you just have to win several open tournaments in a row, or do you play like a closed event and try to do really well?
Yeah, as you say, it's really hard to gain rating at this level. Like in Italy, I won a tournament, played well, and you gain like 5 rating points. It's just very difficult. If I do a like amazing tournament, maybe you get like 10. But yeah, you have to be patient and you have to play well for a long time to gain rating. It's not. It's very difficult.
Well, I'm gonna ask you your impressions of this event. I was under the impression you got back from your tournament just a few days ago. I don't know if that's still the timeline. How closely have you been following like the opening battles between Hikaru and Magnus? And I guess that the follow up there would be: do you think we get all of the same today, or do you think this is a unique territory for Magnus in a 3-2 position? Is he going to play some different openings? Like what's going to happen? What can we expect?
I have to be honest with you. I haven't really followed so much. I just know the results because when I was in Italy, I basically didn't follow the games a lot.
You weren't
I
drawing
know the results,
inspiration.
and Hikaru has really impressed me. So he's leading now, and if he wins today, it's over. So Magnus has to go all in.
It's been the biggest question for me has been Magnus has played e4, d4, c4. That's not a question. But my question was, he got very good positions when when he got an English on the board with c4, e5. And we haven't seen an English in, I think, 2 days now. And so as Hikaru has described it, because Hikaru joins us after the the games are done, he'll say things like, look, we're just looking for small, not even improvements, but just small like wrinkles in the openings, just to get a unique position and just to play for something. But I've been really surprised because Magnus seemed to get good positions with c4,
and still he doesn't play it so much, or
yeah, like he hasn't played it in 2 days. Yesterday was only e4, d4, and what surprised me even more, the 2 games Magnus lost yesterday, right? 6 and 7. First he played into King's Indian, and then he played into a Nimso. Like, openings we have not seen the entire match, and both losses. And so I know it's Blitz, I know it's Armageddon. I mean, some people even argue Armageddon is not real chess, it's just whatever. But it is real chess. But I don't know. Like, I don't know what to expect. We don't have to wait much more. We're gonna have a move in about 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's strange. If he gets good positions with c4, it's a bit surprising he doesn't just stick to that. Yeah, so he played this Nimzo line and the game he lost yesterday in the Armageddon, and it seemed like just Hikaru was doing well from start to finish in that game. So I guess he will not repeat that today.
But he plays d4, okay. Already a surprise actually for me, as far as I'm concerned. D4, let me flip it so that we have Hikaru's perspective. Okay, E6. Oh, you moved a little bit. Let me move you over.
Oh, I moved?
No, but I think you're good now. I think you're good.
Okay.
Just tell me how you're comfortable, and I'll do the rest.
Okay, I'm comfortable like this.
Oh, that's perfect. That's right in the middle. Just stay like that. I think chat will be very happy. Okay, knight c3. So will we see Nim? And there it is. We do see Nimzo.
So he's repeating the Nimzo. Is he gonna play h3 again?
No, he played e3.
So he goes e3.
Yeah. This is, well, this is very very classical. You're more in tune with modern theory than me. Is knight e2 the main line? Okay, well, that answers my question. Is he going to put his knight on e2 or f3?
This bishop d3 line is also possible. Yeah, white plays that a lot, but usually they put a knight on f3 in these positions. Knight e2 is less popular, but definitely also possible. I think I faced it 2 years ago.
And how did you do when you faced it?
I was prepared for it, so I won against 2400 with black, but this line, I mean, it's tricky. Definitely Magnus has prepared for it, but Hikaru is playing d5 fast, so I don't think it's like a new opening to him.
I feel bad, you know, when you say that you beat a 2400 with black. Like, I know that feeling of losing to one of you when I have the white pieces. Like, finally, I got a GM, I got to win. Nope, you guys just make me look like a fool.
But to beat 2400 with black is a huge achievement for me. It's very difficult usually with black pieces.
Right. Well, do you find that when you play like international masters, do they and even strong FMs, are they fighting you, or are they just subduing the opening when you have black and are just looking to draw you and play no risk? I'm getting intel.
To be honest, I find that as the biggest problem in chess when you play like let's say 2450, 2500 with black and you have to win. It's very difficult in chess because in like these days modern theory, people usually know it very well, and sometimes they can prepare with white and they know
Mhm.
a lot of moves. It's very difficult for you to create winning chances. Sometimes you have to play a risky opening and take a lot of chances to win, and then you can also lose. So it's not easy at all, especially 2400.
I'm taking notes in case I ever come back to competitive chess. But it's true. Like I know some GMs in the United States who are 2600. They're like kind of like you. Either early or late 20s, and they play these open tournaments, and take they don't take solid openings with black. They'll play the Benoni. They'll just imbalance the game. So traditionally, it's not very good, but
Yeah,
it's
I actually think that's the right approach to have. If especially if you play open events, you kind of have to try to win with the black pieces, and then you cannot play so drawish openings. You have to have fighting openings in your repertoire. But it depends like which opponents you play against. But that's definitely clever, I think.
All right. Well, talk to me about this position. Not like what they played yesterday, but Hikaru trades the dark squared bishop. Magnus has this giant assortment of pawns. What are the plans from both sides? We got to teach our chat a little bit of chess as well.
So this is like a typical position. White plays a3, like forces the black bishop to take the knight. So white gets the bishop pair, but at the same time, black is also very solid. And the bishop on c1 is usually, as you see, not so great in these positions. I mean, it takes time before it will become a better piece. So the bishop pair doesn't matter so much in these positions. And, usually the white knight is always on f3, not on e2 in these positions. So it's a bit unusual, but I have to say I think I like black here. He looks to have a very like healthy and solid position, and get his knight to d7. The bishop on a6 is fine. I like the black pieces. What do
This
you
is
think?
Yeah, I was going to say it's one of the rare cases for anybody confused why there's a bishop on a6 that the bishop can go to a6. Like normally you play b6, the bishop goes to b7 99% of the time, uh, and that's what I
Yeah.
always recommend. But like for
So
example,
maybe in this case it goes
mhm,
to a6 to pin the e2 knight.
yeah,
Uh,
and also fight for c4, right?
yeah,
c4 d3.
but generally it definitely goes to b7 usually. But here, yeah, fighting for the c4 square. Maybe playing for knight c6, knight a5, and yeah, the diagonal can be a bit annoying for white.
We saw knight c6, knight a5 yesterday in the Armageddon game, which obviously everybody in the chat saw, right? All no nobody has been missing this match at all. We have to catch Aryan up to speed in terms of the memes of the day, like the e5 square, but we'll get to that. Okay, rook c1. You want cd4 cd4, right?
Yeah, cd4 is a dream for white, because then your rook is amazing on c1, and everything is nice suddenly. The knight on c6 would be stupid. And maybe another idea is that if you play knight a5 with black to jump to the c4 square, maybe white wants to go c4 now, as he has his rook behind the pawn.
Mm-hmm. And the other idea I was thinking is maybe bishop b1, right? Like just reroute this guy now that you've moved the
It
rook to c1.
that's a good point. Yeah, bishop can go to b1, as now the rook is on c1, because if the rook was on a1, then bishop b1 would kind of kill your own rook. But now it's definitely a move.
Then what do we do? Like what's next? Well, I see knight to g4 threatens checkmate, but something tells me Magnus will see that. Still might be a good
Probably.
move.
You never know, but probably we'll see that. Yeah, but
um,
knight g4 is definitely a move to think about, because white can it seems like white can only protect the mate in one way, which is by playing g3, as far as I can see. Because
yeah,
obviously you can't
because
move the knight because your rook is hanging, so you have to play g3.
e3, but that looks kind of ugly, does it not?
That looks ugly, yeah. So I'm kind of wondering what white has if he goes g3, or if we're missing something. Maybe Maybe if you play knight g4, he's gonna play like knight f4 or knight g3, sacrifice the exchange and go for, yeah, like you take the rook and I
Yeah.
take on g4 and try to play knight h5 and play for mate.
Wow. That is, yeah, and d5, c4 doesn't look so pleasant. Suddenly the bishop on b2 is a beast. Knight h5 and stuff. It's coming, yeah,
Yeah, I guess
g7.
that has to be Magnus' idea, because g3, as you said, looks a bit ugly to weaken your king like that, because then the diagonal could also be a problem if the bishop comes to b7 and the white squares could become an issue.
Well, yeah, so rook c1 is played, and well, Hikaru's going for quite a long think. I think that in the first 15 moves of how many games have they played already? You know, maybe like 30, 27 or something. It's very rare to see that Hikaru's got such a time deficit early on in any opening. But the thing about these positions, right? They're so solid for black, but at the same time they're imbalanced enough that you can create winning chances. Like that's what you search
Yeah.
for. So
Magnus usually likes these positions where I mean, black looks fine at first sight, but white has some potential. You know, if let's say that bishop pair wakes up one day, it might be like very strong. Let's say in an endgame, or so white definitely has potential in such a position with the bishop pair. But black looks to be fine. But let's say if one day white manages to play c4 under good circumstances and maybe d5 or something like that, white might
and there it
take
is.
over. And I think the reason Hikaru was taking so long was because this knight g4 move that we looked at was critical move to calculate, because it looks forcing and white was giving up the exchange.
And okay,
So
c takes
c4 is
d4.
played. So ed.
Yeah, do you want ed or do you want knight d4 so that at least the bishop will stay open, right? Because if you take with the pawn, you have to rely on d5.
Yeah. The thing with knight d4 is that it's strategically speaking a bit risky, because, you know, if you take with a knight in such a position, then your pawn on c4 could really become a target in I mean, long term, because it will be a weakness if you take with a knight. You don't have any pawns that can protect it, and yeah, you have to be very, very sure about a move like knight takes d4, because e takes d4 is the human move, because then you keep your pawns together and you have more potential. But taking with a knight, then the c4 pawn can become very weak.
Yeah, this looks aesthetic. I mean, the bishops are defending the pawns, and at the same time you have some sort of d5 ideas. If okay, black's next move for sure is rook fd8, right? I cannot think of a more natural move.
Yeah, rook fd8 is the most logical move in the world in this position, of course, to put the rook against the queen. But so what is white planning to do then? Maybe a move like queen d2, get connection between the rooks, or queen. I was gonna say queen d3, but that's actually a mistake because of knight e5, and white would lose the c4 pawn. But so Hikaru plays queen e7, which slightly surprising move.
Yeah, is he? I don't know. What's he looking for?
I guess he wants to play knight a5 and try to
It's
hit the
c4, yeah.
c4 pawn. And maybe what he was worried about was that if he would play rook fd8 instead of queen e7, white could play like d5. And if you take,
and you
maybe
lose,
white can
no?
take on
f6,
f6, and
yeah.
your king position becomes very bad. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
So
very unpleasant. So
he wanted to be able to take with the queen on f6. I guess that explains queen e7.
he's got to play fast too. I mean, he's already 5 minutes in the tank, so he can't just continuously sit there and and
Yeah.
try to kind of come up with all the solutions in the universe to the position. I am trying to turn up your audio as well, and then one thing, like we're obviously reading the chat. I just want to break that. fourth wall. Folks are letting us know that Magnus seems to be, at least on player cam, like physically in some sort of pain. And if your first response to that is to say things like, he's trying to already come up with excuses, you've got the wrong, like, we don't promote that mentality in the slightest. That's crazy. And regardless of how he hurt himself, whether it was prior to the match, listen, I've suffered back pain. Aryan, I don't know if you've suffered back pain. I hope you haven't. Back pain is horrible.
I haven't.
All right, well, I'm gonna bless you. This is my blessing that I take it and you never have to deal with it. Let's.
That's the worst pain.
It's real bad. I mean, there's different
types
of pain. Anna's dealing with tooth pain. Everybody deals with something different. Guys, we respect Hikaru. Obviously, we're cheering for Hikaru, but at the same time, you have to respect the opponent. It's so crazy to be creating a meme out of it. So just be better. All right, let's wish for the best. And I don't know. Have you ever played somebody that got sick like while you were playing them? It's never happened to me, I don't think. When I was younger, I was playing a Scholastic chess tournament, and a kid goes, "My stomach hurts. Can I have a draw?" And
what do you actually do in that situation? It's difficult, yeah, because you don't want to be. You don't want to be an asshole and win because your opponent is sick, but at the same time, it's not your problem, yeah. So, I guess it depends really on the position.
Yeah, I wasn't going to finish my story. I mean, my dad was of the mentality that like I should never end the game like too early because I work too hard in chess and all these different things. And at the same time, it's like a question of like, I guess good karma. So I've actually done both. I've like given quick draws before. For example, I still kind of believe like in a chess tournament, if I'm playing against somebody who needs a draw and they get like a norm, I might give it to them unless I have like the white pieces and I'm playing for something. Then I'll try to play for a win. But otherwise, like, so just little things like that. But that's a whole other debate.
You're too nice. You're too nice. I would probably not do that. I would
really
think about myself first.
Well, that's because
I mean, let's say I play a 2400 with white who gets an IM norm if he makes a draw. Should I really just like?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Three rating points to make him happy. It's just. I feel like you think about yourself first.
Yes, but what if you have black? What if you have the black pieces? And
in general, I mean, I would do what I do in general. I would never like give a draw just to be nice. Yeah. Okay. Maybe if it was my best friend, it would be different. But if it was a normal guy,
take notes. I gotta become.
Then I would just play because at the same time, it's also. I feel like if you get a norm, you also have to deserve it 100%. Yeah, if you're lucky with playing against a good high-rated friend who will just give you the norm and be nice, then you're kind of lucky. Yeah.
That is true in most cases, but there obviously are certain norm events that are more suspicious than others, where you don't always, folks don't always, earn their stuff. Yeah. But yes, you do have a point. But I think when you organize like round robins, at least in the United States, and same in Europe, it's sort of like that. Like if one of the players does so well in 8 rounds, in the 9th round, someone will just give them a draw. It's very rare somebody tries to actively sabotage a norm. But in an open tournament, it's very different,
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've seen that a lot before also. People usually do that, but I would think about myself first in that situation. I mean, if I have to give something to make him get a norm, let's say if we have the same rating and I give a draw, it's okay. But if I like give up like 3-4 rating points to make someone happy, it's just like strange to me. But okay, people think differently.
No. I'm not. I got my norms without pity draws, I promise. But in the US, it's totally a thing, and I think the difference is that some of the grandmasters in the United States don't have self-respect anymore. For example, I'll give you a funny one. Like we have these norm events in the United States, and if you ever look at the cross table, you'll notice that one of the GMs will make like 7 draws. like 7 draws, 2 wins or something. You know, like drawing everybody, just giving away half points. So Aryan's not in that boat yet. He wants to be 2650.
It depends where you are in your chess career. If you're just
Yes.
playing to make, if you're just playing chess to make money, then it's a different story. If you're ambitious and want to improve your rating, I think that's not the right approach. Yeah, but let's say GM who doesn't have ambitions in his 40, then it happens more often, I think. But it all depends on the situation.
I have been distracting you from the game, I feel, and I'd like to apologize.
No, we're having an interesting discussion here.
Yeah, it's, you know, philosophical debate. Meanwhile, Hikaru took on c4. I'm gonna make a bold claim here. Or no, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not. I was gonna say that Hikaru's. I know it says 0-0-0, but I was gonna say I really like his chances. But then I spotted that there's a discovered attack on the queen.
Mm-hmm.
Like knight
So
g3.
Magnus actually sacrificed 2 pawns. Yeah, so it's like a
Yeah.
big things happening. D5 he took. So the point was
Mm-hmm.
that Magnus could obviously not take back because the knight on E2 would be hanging. So he just plays calmly rook E1 and gives up the second pawn.
Yeah. So
Now he's thinking. So he definitely has to show what he has for these 2 pawns. So I guess he will start with moving the knight from E2 to threaten the queen. Maybe go to G3.
yeah, knight g3 looks a little bit annoying because you get the discovered attack, but now the knight and the bishop on b2 are teaming up, although it doesn't feel like it, right? Because knight f5 and knight h5.
Yeah, knight a5 and knight h5 is both annoying threats, and you always
Mm-hmm.
have to look up for this bishop f6. So you have to be a bit careful with where you go with your queen, because for instance, if you go to, let's say, d7, then white can take on f6 and ruin your structure.
So on knight g3, what do we do then? Like if it's such a headache to deal with.
I felt you had to go to a square where you protect the knight on d6. So I guess that has to be d8, yeah, after knight g3. So you protect your knight on f6. You can take back with your queen, because obviously if you go to d6, then I think you're just dead after knight f5. But white gets another tempo on the queen. So queen d8, and so what does Magnus have here? Is the big question.
Yeah, is he gonna take on c4 or is he gonna play bishop b1? I feel like bishop b1 is like a huge risk, but it looks nice. It's just that you're down 2 pawns, and if it doesn't work, you just lose. You're gonna lose the endgame.
It's a cool move to play though. Like you're just clearly 2 pawns down, and you play a cool move like bishop b1. But at the same time, white has a lot of potential in this position. If you play bishop b1, you have like 2 monster bishops that are pointing at black's king, and then you have knight f5 ideas. But I feel like objectively, black should be all right, but it's not easy to play.
It really is not easy to play now that I'm thinking about it, because the bishop on
Yeah,
c4 is out of the game.
I have to be honest. I think I would definitely take white here after bishop b1, because you have to think about the practical terms, and it's difficult for black to make moves in such a position, especially in a rapid game.
And he plays bishop b1. Okay.
I feel like that's a typical Magnus move to play bishop b1, just playing calm, 2 pawns down, but he knows he has great compensation, and Magnus is a really practical player, so if he feels it's difficult for his opponent to find moves in a position, he always goes for that. And here, okay, so Hikaru goes b5.
So he wants d4, right? That's what he wants. Like right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there it is. B5.
Yeah, so he's protecting his bishop on c4 with this b5 move. So that's kind of nice. And d4 is on the board.
And queen d2. Magnus wants to go queen g5 and queen takes g7 checkmate. That's my big prediction. I think I'm right.
Yeah, because he could take that pawn on d4, but then I think black would be kind of happy because when white is playing for an attack, you would be happy to trade some pieces off with black because then it's easier to sort of defend. And the knight on f5 is a dangerous attacking piece, so you don't want to trade it.
That's a great point. Once you trade off the knight, you're only left with the bishops, and they have targets. Like the bishop has the knight on f6 in its sights, the bishop on b1 has the pawn on h7, but you can't really take anything. The knight on f5 in and of itself is probably worth the 2 sacrifice pawns, right? It's very unpleasant position, actually. With, for example, you can play a move, just hypothetically, it's not going to happen, but
Yeah.
d3, and d3 is a disaster, because you block out the b1 bishop, but
yeah,
there is
then queen
g5, even knight g7 is probably crushing, right?
Yeah, knight g7 looks even stronger. Yeah, like in general, having a knight on f5 is like the best square you can have for your knight. So.
Because if takes just queen g5 and everything collapses, only move, and now only move is to lose the queen. d3 will not be played. I mean, I don't know what black's best move is. It's either something like bishop e6 or rook e8, I think. Like, just to trade some sort of piece. I mean, I'm so hesitant to recommend. I mean, g6 must be losing. Like,
yeah, I was thinking about a move like h6 to try to take that
yeah,
g5 square, but maybe then white goes like queen f4 and tries to put the queen on g3 against the black king. That's also dangerous, I think.
and knight d6. Like, at the end of the day, you can sometimes just if white wins both pawns back and has bishop b2, bishop b1, practically speaking, white is probably winning. The bishops are just too strong.
Yeah.
Winning might be strong. I mean, maybe they don't break
So
through.
so Hikaru's thinking here. He played bishop e6.
I don't know. Did he? Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
he
he
played
played
bishop
bishop
e6.
e6.
It looks
Okay,
like,
so
yeah.
it's gonna some slight delay on my end.
So just want to trade off that knight on f5. That's the point with bishop e6.
That's a good move. I mean, he's just understanding the position well. Yeah, if he gets rid of the knight on f5.
So rook c5 played by Magnus. He wants to take back with a rook, getting another attacking piece to the play. And Magnus is playing his moves fast.
I was thinking if there's a way to trap the rook, like with knight d7, rook b5, a6. Is that
So knight
insane?
d7, interesting. What happens if I try like for something crazy? Knight d7. Let's say I go knight h6.
Oh, that might win the game. That might win. Man. Okay, and if I take, you're just mating me, huh?
If you take, I will take with a queen and my bishop on
Oh,
b1 with my queen on h6. I'm threatening, yeah, very
chess
nasty stuff.
is chess is brutal. I mean, I play a move attacking a rook on c5, and you just ignore me and go here. That's beautiful. That is very nice. That is very nice.
Yeah, that's it. When you have a knight on f5, you have to be really
Yeah,
careful.
it's the only winning move. Knight h6. I thought I was gonna trap your rook like this, but man, knight h6, brutal.
But it is a nice way to trap the rook if I would not have knight h6.
Yeah, rook b7, knight c5 at the very end, right? That's nice, but knight h6 is
So
oof.
what should black do here? I feel like he really wants to take on f5 just to get rid of that knight. But let's say take on f5, rook takes f5. He just goes a6, very calm. That somehow feels wrong to me to if you have
Just
time
slow
for
move.
a6.
The evaluation bar is having a little bit of a seizure right now. I mean, it went in both directions, like maximum. So this is why we have to rely on human. Well, by the way, maybe now the rook is seriously boxed in, and if it's not knight d7, it might be queen b6 or something, or if possible.
But white is playing for an attack, and you just go like a6. That's just protecting the second pawn. You just don't want to give up any pawns. But maybe Hikaru's right. But what happens if after a move like queen g5, just trying to play for mates?
Wow. Huh. Queen g5, huh? Okay. Someone says this is a position where Kasparov would destroy with the white pieces. Yeah,
that's for sure.
I can imagine him, calculating. Well, like, there's like the video of him on on YouTube where he calculates like an attack, and he's like, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 M's in my where he talks that he has 7 attacking pieces to the enemy king. He did not quote 21 Savage, but that is a good way to think about when you attack, right? Like,
yeah, like in this position, white has like the bishop on b1, rook on c5, knight on f5, queen on d2. He kind of has like 4 pieces, four pieces in the attack, and I guess Magnus really feels he should have something. But at the same time, if you don't prove this this compensation, you will be 2 pawns down. So he has to be very precise. And look at his time; he's going under 4 minutes.
I put knight h6 on the board because in the other variation, when I played knight d7, he made a move. Whoa! He took on g7.
Took on g7. Wow.
Yeah.
It's not so surprising, to be honest, because he has so many pieces in the attack that he really feels he should have something here. And is he gonna play bishop c1?
So Hikaru is up 4 points of material. He has an extra piece, right? Because 2 bishops, knight and bishop, but an extra knight, and he has an extra pawn. And yet,
yeah,
the computer favors Magnus, which means Hikaru has to be very precise to survive this attack.
So it means that Magnus has some brilliant attacking options. So goes queen g5 first, king h8, and then queen h4. Actually, still not threatening anything as far as I can see.
Yeah, this is crazy. He's just basically saying you can't move, and I'm gonna make my moves, and that's gonna be that.
Yeah, he's a piece and a pawn down, and he's just just saying that black can't move. So if the knight on f6 can obviously never move, because then it will be made on h7. And what else can you actually move? Maybe the rook.
He just wants bishop c1, bishop g5, which I think wins on the spot, right? I think that's it, unless there's something even faster. Like, rook h5 doesn't work, because at the end of it, you have f5. Oh, but then
I guess black will try to play rook g8 then. So in case of bishop g5, it can sacrifice the exchange.
Yeah, computer. I put rook g8, and the eval bar did its thing, where at first it shoots up, but for me, rook g8 is by far the most natural move as well, because rook g4, rook to the open file. This is very, very dangerous. And
because you're also threatening rook g4 when you play rook g8.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I said rook g4 is kind of unpleasant because at least it hits the queen and it makes you think a little bit. You cannot move the c6 knight either. Like, what are you going to do? Knight e7 loses to queen f6. Knight e5 is bad for a variety of reasons. So d3 loses. What do you play? Like, literally, what do you play? What move do you make?
So you said bishop c1, bishop g5 is the threat of white. Is that actually the only threat, or
I don't know.
Does white have any other threats?
I have no idea. I mean, for me, that looks lost.
But if bishop c1, bishop g5 is the only threat, you can try to play rook g8 and take on g5 when that happens. But is a move like rook h5 also a threat here? Probably not. I was thinking rook h5, threatening on h7, you take it, take with the queen, threatening mate on h7, you have to go f5, I take on e6, but then I'm still material down, so it's probably not the way to go.
Yeah, there's apparently only one move that like basically does not lose, and I can only look at the move, suggest it, and then try to explain it in some way, but I'm really struggling. Well, I guess it's two. It's either queen e7 or rook e8.
Okay. So I see a brilliant threat for white here, which is rook takes c6. There's a huge threat here.
Rook
That's
c6,
Magnus,
rook c6. Bishop
Magnus
d4.
Finally, yeah. Yeah, rook c6, sacrificing an exchange, and then you're a rook down. But you take on d4 later, and black cannot protect mate and the knight on f6.
And how does queen e7 prevent that?
That's a good question. But I think the point is that after rook c6, bishop d4, you go the insane bishop f5, and you play for back rank mate.
Oh my gosh. Wait, so what's the exact variation? Say that one more time.
So you go rook takes c6 here with white.
After queen e7?
Yeah, queen
Rook
e7, rook
c6?
takes c6, rook
Rook
takes
c6.
c6, bishop takes d4.
Bishop f5, you said?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's kind of the amazing point, and then black wins.
You cannot take because of back rank checkmate.
Yeah, he has to see that, and that's very difficult. Obviously, if you don't have bishop f5, you have to resign because you can't prevent mate with black.
He did play rook g8. I mean, rook g8 is, as we've been saying, it's a very natural move. He's going to take on c6 now and play bishop takes d4. Magnus is going to be down a full rook. Literally a full rook.
But what do you actually play with black? Rook takes c6, rook takes c6, bishop takes d4.
You
Is it
move
just over, or trying to find defense? Because obviously Hikaru has seen rook takes c6, and because he spent a lot of time on rook g8.
Actually, I'm not sure. Maybe he has to, maybe rook c6, rook g4, but then you play rook c8. You can't take with the queen because queen f6, so bishop c8.
Bishop c8, queen h7.
Oh. No, I'm saying rook c6, rook g4. Now, rook c8, bishop c8. Like right now, rook
You
g4.
want to go? You want to go rook g4 now? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, never mind. What? How is this? What?
White is he goes king g7.
Oh my gosh, wait, whoa. Whoa. Okay, queen h7, king f8. Is he surviving?
So he's still a rook up, and yeah, going for a king run. But queen h7, king f8, you can give another check on h6, and you can grab the knight on f6. It's hard to imagine that black can survive this attack.
Okay, and I see everybody already giving us CES evaluation. Thank you. But it's about finding the moves, you know? It's not just about knowing what the supercomputer says. And yeah, okay, Magnus takes on f6. Wait. How? I mean, I don't see a check.
Yeah, can Hikaru play like queen d5, just try to threaten mate?
Okay, queen a5 is played. I'm not completely convinced just yet, actually.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I suggested queen d5, but that wouldn't work because of bishop e4, and black would lose the rook, because I thought black could take on e4 and have back rank mate, but the queen on h6 protects the square.
He just brings the queen back and he defends the rook and he has queen a7 ideas.
So how is the material here if we count? So Magnus is an exchange down and has 4 pawns. Hikaru has the exchange and 3 pawns. So materially speaking, Hikaru is leading, but at the same time his king is very weak, and he doesn't have so great coordination for his pieces.
Is this just winning because white can play like h4, h5, h6, h7, or like bishop h7 and trap the rook?
Yeah, I think it's basically winning because the black king is so weak, and it's very hard to find any move with black, because you definitely want to try to change some pieces and get the end game, but that's why he plays queen b6. But Magnus will of course not trade the queens because he has such a great attack. Goes rook d1. That's very nice. If you would take, there would be mate on d8.
Oh, but rook d6 and queen b6, rook d1. Uh-oh.
Wow. Did Magnus miss that?
He may have. He may have. So he disregarded the queen trade and played this kind of like finesse move with rook d8.
Mm-hmm.
But now, Aryan, is it... So everyone's saying saved. Is it because black is going to just trade some pieces? That's really what black wants, right?
Yeah, Black's dream is to trade pieces because his king is so open and weak. It will be more safe if it manages to trade pieces. The rook d6 forces trades because if you move the rook, you just take the queen.
My question is, did he really miss rook d6? Because to my eye, every other move is losing. How does he... Like, what did he think was going to happen? Some queen c7? I mean, everything looks lost.
That's a good question. Maybe he was just expecting to win at this point.
Wow. I mean, queen c7, at least the game goes on. You can't just go rook d8, because if you lose the rook and bishop for the queen, maybe black has, you know, some chances.
Yeah, queen c7, I think queen a7 was his point, which is
oh my, that is disgusting. Just gross. All grandmasters want is checkmate. I swear that's all they want. So now queen d8, right? I mean, I feel like queen d8 is very natural. Unless I'm blundering, but queen d8 looks...
Yeah, queen d8. So Magnus is definitely not interested in trading. That's why he plays bishop d4. But then you kind of pin your own bishop, which is, of course, not what he wanted. Queen d8 also stops the h4 move you suggested, which is nice.
Queen d8 stops h4. That is... at the end of the day, he does have a lot of pawns, and it wouldn't be a game of super grandmasters if we didn't get the move h4. Position is still so ridiculous to play. I mean, it's just so complicated, and especially with a minute, like, you're gonna mess something up. You will not find all the best moves. So, practically...
Time to go h4 now?
I was gonna say, I mean, might be the best time. You might just go, screw it. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do, so h4.
So at the moment, black is not threatening anything, and the white bishop on d4 is pinned, so maybe just try to go with a h pawn to create another passer.
Okay, h3 he plays. King d7 from Hikaru. Now the king is very safe. It doesn't look safe, but I promise it's safe. h3 is a weird move. I mean, what does he want? Does he want f4, f5? What does he want? Because he can't move. And he's got 15 seconds.
Also, yeah, 15 seconds. I think he's really annoyed with himself that he allowed this stuff because it goes rook d2. What's the point of that? Probably just wants to move the bishop from d4 without the rook hanging on d1.
Yeah, maybe some bishop
e5.
Right, and maybe I was even thinking going queen a7, but like the king seems safe.
Yeah.
Okay, apparently rook e8 loses on the spot. I don't... I would love to tell you I knew why.
I think it's because of a bishop move. Maybe bishop e5.
Okay, well, it's not because of king h2. Let's put it that way. It is not because of king h2, but it's still... His king is safe now.
I think anything can happen at this point. Both are low on time, and yeah, very easy to blunder something.
Yeah, for both sides, definitely a little bit of tense, nervous energy here. I mean, king on d7 very weak, king on h2 very happy, and there's some sort of tactic that works basically. And now they're both under 30 seconds.
But it's easier for white. I mean, it's very easier for black to blunder something here because the white king is so safe and the black king was on d7.
Oh my gosh,
bishop
are we...
e5, bishop f5 played?
Repetition? Bishop e6, bishop e4? No way, right? Like...
No, I think Magnus is definitely not interested in making a draw here.
King d8? Oh, but there's... Okay, so he plays bishop d3?
Yeah, king d8, bishop b6 would...
oh, that's nice.
Work.
Queen d4, bishop b5, discovered check, and then you win the queen. Ouch.
So you have to play like queen d5 maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but then there is
Bishop
maybe
e4.
bishop c5, I thought.
Oh, hitting the rook, and once this bishop goes, the other bishop goes, and the rook opens up. Oh, this is so dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is I don't know what to say. Absolutely insane first game. It's like apparently just totally winning here for Magnus.
So Hikaru plays queen a4 with 3 seconds. Goes
Uh,
bishop e5, and
Queen
now also queen
a7.
a7 is a threat.
Yeah, Queen a7. Wow, and it's mate. It's mate on c7.
Oof. It's just
Wow.
impossible to defend with so low time.
Yeah, and he's resigned. Magnus takes a 1-0 lead. Wow. What a game. What a game. I mean, it started with a relatively straightforward opening from Magnus.
That
Where
was
did it?
brutal.
Yeah, I mean, wow, where did it get out of hand? Where did it get? I guess a6. That was when it got too dangerous.
I think in generally that position where white gave up 2 pawns and have bishop on b2 and b1 is just already, like, to be honest, impossible to defend in a rapid game, because you're low on the clock, you have 2 bishops pointing at your king and the knight on f5. Objectively it might be okay, but it's just you don't have time to find defensive moves. It's just
Yeah.
a very practically nice position for white, I think.
Yeah, missing Queen a7 is, I mean, not missing Queen a7, but the attack there. It all started with knight takes g7. What an idea. And then this Queen h4 thing. And so the idea of bishop f5 to stop rook c6 had to be met with rook e8. That's the point. It had to be met with rook e8.
Yeah, and then he had to see this amazing bishop f5, right?
Oh no, not after. No, it has to be rook c6, bishop d4, and then bishop f5.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's yeah, to say the least, not so easy to find, right?
Not so easy to. Well, he found a version of it, I guess. I mean, he found like some idea. Wait, or actually, I guess not. I guess not, right? Because he went for the king run instead. Went for the king run, and it worked for a move. Apparently, rook d6 stabilized, but then Magnus brought back the bishops.
But I think when he went for the king run, he knew he was busted, because Magnus played this bishop. Magnus missed his rook d6, but just in general that position with the king on e8 and white having so many attacking chances, it's just very difficult to play. So I think he knew he was in trouble there, but he was just low on time and he had to go for something.
Also, just to show everybody the idea, which saves the day here after bishop d4. So the queen is not actually under attack because of the pin, and well, the computer just says b4. Just b4. And look at this. If Magnus plays f4, opening up a space for his king, the computer says take on a3. Sacrifice the queen, check here, and take b1. I mean, okay.
Computer doesn't care about queens. But then you have a passed pawn on a3 at least.
I mean, that's why it's just ridiculous, you know? We can sit here and talk about this. Did he play the right move on move 35? Yeah, wow, h3 is the best move. We were looking at h4, h5, h6, h7. He plays h3. He says, this is why I play and you guys do commentary. What was wrong with h4? I don't understand.
That's a good question. I would definitely play h4, because he's making heir for his king when he's playing h3. But why not just play h4? You also make heir, and also you can push h5, h6 at the same time. I guess there is something about the g4 square.
Like rook g4, you mean? Even.
Maybe, but I don't see what rook g4 is threatening. But maybe he just thought that after h3 it's just impossible for black to make a move, so he knew it would win somehow.
Oh wow, this is the danger of reading the chat. Sometimes they spoil the lines for me. Aryan, the idea of rook g4 is to play pawn f5, which is
Oh, okay. Oh, and if you take the pawn on f5, you take on d4.
yeah,
That's a good point.
that is nice. And then if rook takes d4, you have queen takes d4, and you're just in time to defend everything. But
Yeah.
still, I'm gonna get the bishop on e6, and I have 3 connected passed pawns. So.
But then at least black will also get his play on the queen side with the passed pawns a5, b4.
Wow. Wow.
Crazy game.
That is a crazy game. There's not a better way to really summarize that. And now we obviously have a break before the second game. Yeah, we do. Yeah, let's do that. Aryan, let's play an odds game.
Okay. How long is the break?
Like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Unless you had like big plans for between the break.
I didn't.
No? Yeah, then let's play an odds game. Let's have some fun. Anything is good. Preferably something. Have you played flip chess?
No, wait, it's flip chess.
It's like when white starts on 7 and 8 and moves backwards.
7 and 8 and moves backwards? I haven't.
Oh, let's do that so I have a chance.
Okay, but then you will crush me. I don't know that game.
I've done a lot of training. Okay, let's see. So I have the white pieces. I have to crop the board. Yeah, so this is flip chess.
Okay, knight c3.
Yeah, so I'm promoting up the board. It's your move. Your knights go backwards, your pawns go up.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this checkmate trick, but your move stopped it. I also wouldn't have gone for it out of, you know.
Oh, this checkmate trick because you were threatening knight e4, or no? You can't go knight e4. The knight can only go backwards. You said.
Well, I mean, it could go forward, but yeah, like I could play like knight g4 and then knight e3.
Oh, okay. But if you play knight g4, then I go knight e4, and
Yes,
right?
yes, that's like the meta or something. So
Basically, just copying you at this point.
I think this is the best thing. Like Hikaru and I were trying to figure out the strategy. Also, apparently, if you go first, it's like +7 or something. But I don't understand that. So
Oh, so actually, who starts is actually winning?
yeah, basically winning. But I don't know the theory, so it doesn't mean anything.
Following
You're
this
like
symmetry.
really copying me.
You know this game better than me, so why not just copy it?
I don't. Okay, we're gonna get like 9 queens. All right, a lot of queens. Here we go.
Copying you must be fine, no?
No one's ever done this. I'm getting very frustrated. Yeah, and I can't take your queens because you'll promote. Huh.
So I've solved the game.
Okay, well, you can't copy this move. You could try.
Okay, and that's not advised. Yeah, I guess it's not so clever to copy anymore. You tricked the game.
It's really weird.
Now I have no idea what to do. Just busted.
Oh, 22,000 of you. You're here on break. We have a short break between the games. Magnus winning the first rapid game today in a nice fashion. I mean, a very complicated, crazy fight where he sacrificed pieces and Do you have a term for when you sacrifice the way he did and then play a move like Queen H4, like no threat, but
Mm.
the position is like on pause a little bit and there's nothing that you can do? Or is that just, being a good chess
Um,
player?
yeah, I guess it's just being a good chess player. Just that he's like kind of saw that Hikaru is 2 pawns up, but it's just so difficult for him to improve his position, have a plan. Magnus is just so good at that. But I feel like a lot of other people, if you sacrifice 2 pawns, you kind of panic. Yeah, you feel maybe you have to show something immediately, because otherwise you're just material down. But he just yeah, he just knows it when to do it and when to not do it. So he kind of makes it look easy for others, but yeah, it's very difficult.
All right, let's figure something out here. And I'm sorry if I'm ever completely not responsive, it's just because Aryan has to go in about half an hour. So probably he will be with us for the whole second game. Maybe right at the end you'll have to go. And
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to go after 30 minutes. I hope the second game will finish uh, fast, so I can be with you on that.
I think what we're going to do, we won't solo run it. Actually, we will have Jen Shahade joining. I don't know if she's going to join for
Oh,
the
cool.
entire day, so I think that is the plan.
So first time you took something. I
Yes,
blundered a
I got it.
piece.
I'm a bishop up.
I completely missed that. But a piece shouldn't matter in this game.
Honestly, not. The queens really decide everything.
Hmm.
I think once you get a little bit, do you think? Yeah, I was gonna ask you more of a bait question than a serious question, but I was gonna be like, do you think variants help or hurt actual chess play more?
So the variant I have been playing the most is definitely Bug House.
Really?
I remember like my whole childhood I was playing that a lot, especially when I was 10, 11, 12. I remember one summer I was playing like 4 hours every day. It was just crazy for Bug House. And Magnus was also actually playing Bug House when he was younger. And we had this coach, Simon Agdestein, in this. We have a Norwegian sports
Mm-hmm.
school. When Magnus attended, I also attended, and like the best players from Norway. And Simon was saying like, yeah, it was good for Magnus. He was playing Bug House, and then he won a lot of super tournaments. But I don't know, to be honest. I don't think it hurts, but I think if you just have fun, it's uh, it's great.
Any sort of chess is good.
Yeah, as long as you have fun.
I think you just gave me a queen.
I was talking too much.
Well, now I'm worried because I'm gonna awaken like a beast, and you're gonna master this game and come back. And Hikaru and I
We will
played this
see,
on
or I will lose on time.
Oh, right. There's no bonus time. Oh, yay! Now chat is. Oh, I have a new queen I can make. I have reinforcements. I almost promoted
I
every
lost
single piece.
everything.
It's a hard game to play. Oh, that's not even mate. Oh, what am I doing? Oh, you have a rook. Okay,
You're just
at least
you're,
I
you're
have
just
this.
gonna win on time.
Well, I was hoping. No, I'm gonna give mate.
Oof.
That's. I think that's nicer. But
Too strong for me in this game.
nah, is
Too
this the
too.
first? Is this the first time you've played this?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we
I
have
didn't know
to.
this game.
I mean, I think we had like 30 games of this with Hikaru on breaks in the last we did Legends of Chess.
Okay,
So
cool. I
yeah.
haven't seen that.
Also, some guy just realized that I was playing with the white pieces. And
But in general, variants are fun. I haven't tried a lot of variants, but yeah, Bug House is definitely what I play the most.
see, I'm terrible at Bug House. I like solo, so I like Crazy House. People are asking for the rules. What would you describe it in like 30 seconds or less?
So you have a partner, you play 2 against 2, and you're in a team with a partner, and basically the piece you take of your opponent you give to your teammate, and you can use it. You can like put it on the board. That's kind of the point. So it really matters. You have to be a team player, and you have to play well together. And also time is very important to play fast, because if your partner plays slow, then you can be in troubles. But yeah, and basically you sacrifice pieces, you put pieces on the board, you play for mates. It's a fun game. And usually it's like you have 2 minutes on the clock.
2. Oh, in here we play 5 or 3 and 2. Wow. And you play it like with friends over the board or online interface also?
I was playing a lot online, but I haven't played it for like 9-10 years. I used to play it before, but a lot on the board also.
Did you play on Fix?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fix. I don't know if that site is existing anymore. I remember I was playing with Nils Grandelius on Fix. I think Nils was the world champion in Bughouse at some point.
Wow. Yeah, the free internet chess server or something. Yeah, I remember that. And I remember there
Yeah.
was a version of it called Babas, which always made me crack up. I was like, what a name. Babas.
Mostly I was actually playing on ICC, but I tried Fix too. That was fun times.
So
So we have the game.
yeah, we do. It's in live chess, and it's another Berlin. It's an anti-Berlin, and today Magnus plays a totally new line. So it's so strange to me. Like, I get it. He doesn't want Hikaru to do homework and then come and prepare something. But what is this Bishop E7 move? Is this like this is some sort of okay Bishop F8, and I mean I'm assuming G6 and Bishop G7 as well.
No, actually, this is standard standard stuff. I played it with black too. I mean,
So
after this D3 move in Berlin, usually
H6.
black goes bishops. H6 is also standard.
Okay.
Just take the G5 square. You don't want to allow the bishop G5 stuff.
Okay, I'm ready for my Rui Lopez lesson. So which branch of the Spanish is this? This is like anti-Berlin. It has a name?
Yeah, it's anti Berlin, but it kind of transposes to normal Roy Lopez. I'm not sure about the tempos here, but this D6 move in the opening by black is not so usual. Usually black goes bishop C5, but at the moment I think we're back to main stuff.
By move order transposition.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Because anyway, black played A6, bishop A4, which you usually do in the Roy Lopez. So I think it kind of transposed, and this is a sort of, I think this is a main line. I've seen it a lot of times before, and it's a lot of high level games in this position. I think white can, for instance, play A4 here. It's a move.
Is A4 more of a modern twist on these positions? I feel like this whole A4 idea has only come about. I mean, it hasn't come out. Okay, right on cue, Mr. Tari. Like in the Italians and all these Spanishes, they're playing a lot more A4 than they did back in the day. It feels like.
Yeah, A4 is really typical in these positions because you want to get play on the A file, yeah, because usually white is doing better on that side sometimes, and also like white is the boss. He decides when to take on B5 or when not to take on B5, yeah. So black has to be ready for it always. That's the good thing about A4 for white. He can kind of like time when you want to take on B5 or when not, and otherwise, if you for instance go B4 with black
Yes.
after A4, then a standard idea for white would be to play the pawn to A5, and suddenly the bishop comes to A4 and says hello, and it's a very annoying pin.
A5 is a nice move. Yeah, definitely not something that to the standard eye looks very natural. It's you're much more likely to like look at the B pawn, but A5 is very nice. Otherwise, also black plays A5 and bishop A6, right? That's another problem.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't play a5 with white, and black will play a5, he will be happy to do that. So after a4, usually black either doesn't react or plays b4. But obviously, has to think about the pin with the rook on a8 first. So because white is of course threatening a takes b5, which wins the pawn at the moment.
So Magnus has to decide. He can also trade the queen, right? Can't he take on e4 and then take on d1? Does he want... Well, I mean, Hikaru can play knight e4, rook e4, but I don't think that's going to happen. So does black want a queen trade?
You can trade, but usually I think in this case white is happy because he's a bit ahead, and in this endgame I think white is slightly more comfortable because the knight on c6 is usually a problem for black. Doesn't really have any good squares to go to, and white plays for 2 results.
He plays
He
rook
goes rook
b8.
It's also a standard reaction because white was threatening a takes b5, rook b8. So now white can take on b5 and get the a file, but at the same time you can't really do so much on the a file because there's not really any nice squares to go to.
Now, does white play b4 to lock the pawn on b5, or does white play something like d4 to open the bishops toward the king?
b4 is in general possible, but it's just that you have to be very careful with b4 because
d4, right?
black. Oh, you said d4 or b4?
No. I'm saying for white, like b4 here isn't great because of d4.
Yeah, exactly. And your pawn on b4 might be
Yeah.
very weak. So you have to be careful about that. Usually b4 is more an option when black took on e4, because then there is not the d4 option.
So now probably d4 is the way to go, I would imagine.
d4, also a move like h3 is very standard, just to do a useful move, take away the g4 square and get a square for your king. h3 is kind of standard and a safe move.
Okay. What you're saying is coming true. To prevent bishop g4 and really just negate the development of the c8 bishop. So then, will Magnus himself play d4 now?
d4, yeah, I have had this position with black. I mean, this structure, and I went d4 sometimes, and it's definitely a move you can consider. You can play d4. It depends on taste, actually. You can play d4 if you want, or you can play like bishop e6 and keep your options in the center. Like not playing d4 is generally more solid, but playing d4 can become more double-edged, in my opinion.
So he plays h3 to just be, you said, solid. I'm still asking this question to you. Magnus, does he want a queen trade with de4, de4, queen d1? Like,
you can always consider this, but yeah, I guess you can do it, but at the same time, the knight on c6 is a big problem in these positions, and I mean, black might be fine, but white is playing for 2 results, so he's generally enjoying that endgame, maybe. But I would not take on e4 because I don't see a reason to do it right now, because if white takes on d5, I'm happy. I take with my queen, and I have an active position. But if I trade queens here, it's just that white has more options in that endgame, and my knight on c6 is a weak piece without the queens. So I would probably just play a move like bishop e6.
And then
It all
well,
depends.
I'm gonna ask you, if bishop e6, does white want to take on d5 or does white want to take on d4? That's really what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a story of what happens with these central pawns with the next few moves.
Yeah, white might take on d5 after bishop e6.
Does black take with the bishop?
I think in general you actually take with the queen. Your queen.
Queen.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm glad I have you here because this is fascinating to me. So this is what you take with, because I guess the queen can't be attacked.
That's the point. Yeah, the queen is very centralized on d5. And yeah, as you said, it's not so easy to attack it, so it's actually can be a great piece on d5. But taking with other pieces are also possible, but I think in general you take with the queen.
I see, and then obviously knight takes d5, not possible because of knight e5, and finally we do get the fact
Exactly.
that 5 is hanging. Optically speaking, playing d4 here kind of scares me. Like if Magnus plays d4, the bishop gets out to b3. I guess you always meet it with bishop e6, but
yeah, these positions can really become double-edged. Like let's say you go bishop e6, maybe white goes rook a6 and starts harassing the knight on c6. But I think Magnus is also considering the endgame, as you said, d takes e4, because Magnus won the first game and draw would be a very nice result. So maybe if he thinks he can get a slightly worse endgame where he has very, very good chances to hold, he might consider that.
once again, a handful of people saying things like Magnus is. I mean, first of all, he quite literally was from what I saw on his knees, like you only see the top of his head because he's apparently in that degree of pain, and see people relaying things like he's lying on the floor because he wants to think properly and he just can't. It's actually it's quite crazy. I don't know when we're gonna get the full story. Maybe we get it after the entire event is over, but I didn't see anything yesterday, which means that this must have happened and just been kept like on the low, which is it's terrible. I mean, it's terrible, and you have to play. Like I can't imagine the nightmare of rescheduling something like this. So I think it's something back related. I think that's what people were.
So Magnus is unhappy with something?
No. He injured his back yesterday.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. This is what is getting real. I cannot speak to my only person I'm speaking to right now is Aryan, and maybe God, or I don't know. Maybe Aryan and God is all the same thing. You have a lot of fans in the chat. Let's put it that way.
Thanks a lot to the chat. Well, I didn't know Magnus had problems with his back. Then I should have been more updated about that. I usually read the news in Norway, but didn't read that he had a pain.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe it happened and it just wasn't relayed anywhere, for whatever reason. But that, again, I don't want to. I don't just want to relay, because sometimes like they'll say, we get relayed something and it's not completely accurate. But I think that's yeah, okay, yeah. So it was the broadcaster saying that is what happened. Yeah, that's
okay. I hope he doesn't feel too bad now. So your endgame happened, by the way.
Well, I don't blame him. I mean, just get the queens off. Doesn't that basically guarantee a draw? No, just kidding. They have every piece on the board still.
The bishop came to a4, which is nice for white. Annoying pin against the rook on e8, but yeah, as you said, Magnus' point is that he won the first game, and okay, it's slightly worse in this position, but has very good chances for draw. He's thinking, and he's probably happy with that. It's also maybe not so easy to improve the white position. It looks kind of great, and the knight on c6 is stupid, and a nice bishop on a4, but white needs a way to improve his position, to create some threats and be annoying. I'm not sure how he's going to do that. Starting with a move like bishop e3 looks very logical, of course.
Yeah, I was gonna say bishop e3 is supernatural, but he takes on b4. We're gonna get bishop b4 because knight b4 loses a rook, and I don't think that's gonna happen. But just in case anybody's confused why we're not gonna get knight b4, be careful.
The point with taking on b4 is that he's going to try to use the c file in his favor, because if he would not take on b4, then black would take on c3 and the c file would be locked. But now he's going to try to play bishop e3 and try to play for rook c1 and put pressure on c6, which is very logical.
This transformation of the position you kind of start looking at where the imbalances are, because they both have 2 rooks, 2 knights, 2 bishops. So the first imbalance, as you just said, is like c6, the c file, so c7, a rook will come there, and this pin and the pressure here on e5, right? Is it enough to win the game, is the big question.
It all depends. I mean, in general, if you're slightly worse than in an endgame and your opponent plays perfectly, it's never enough. But it all depends. Like, he has to put pressure on Magnus, and Magnus has to make mistakes, otherwise it will not be enough. But I mean, I would definitely take white here, and he also has like 4 minutes more on the clock, so I don't think he's unhappy with this. He's playing for 2 results with no risk. He plays b3 now, so he can play rook ac1, and his bishop on a4 will not be hanging. He's going to try to double on the c file, and the knight on c6 cannot move because of the c7 pawn. Rook d8 played.
Yeah, that just looks like the easiest. I mean, he traded 1 queen. Now he's going to trade the second rook, or the first rook, and maybe he will also trade the second rook, and looking like it will be pretty straightforward.
Because trading a rook is nice for black, because then white is not able to double on the c file. Then it will be like less pressure on the knight on c6. So I guess that's his idea. I don't know if Hikaru can play like rook d c1, try to avoid the trades.
I don't know. Well, first of all, if you take on c6 and take on e5, it is a free pawn. But e4 hangs as well in that sequence, right? Because
so probably not a free pawn.
that's sort of the issue.
Okay, you have knight c6 in the end. Like bishop takes c6, bishop takes c6, knight takes e5, take on e4.
Knight c6, yeah, and then you're going to be hitting something like this.
But maybe black can try to be clever and like include rook takes d1, so you don't have knight c6 with.
Yeah, knight c6, rook d1, and the bishop just moves back.
Yeah, that looks very drawish.
Yeah, I don't know how to make this game more exciting. Well, then tell us what you have planned for the rest of the day.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to play a rapid event at my club. I agreed to do it, so that's my plan.
Ooh, what's this club? If any Norwegians in the chat, would you invite them to this club?
It's not really a big club. It's just I'm just looking forward to play some over the board chess, and yeah, feels nice to not only play on the internet. So I agreed to play. Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to not play on the internet. It's been a very long time, and the New York City Chess Club will not be reopening, I don't think, in 2020.
Really? Is it?
Yeah. The Marshall Chess Club.
It's really bad in New York, the situation. So
it's not even. Yeah, it's not so bad. Like, now we're preparing for a second wave because we're getting, everyone's on the street again. Like, a lot less people are wearing masks. There was a period of time like 95% of people on the street were wearing masks. Now it's like 60, because people got the antibody test. So now they're like, I don't need a mask. But info just came out that 3 to 4 months is the period of antibodies, and then you might still be susceptible to it. So I have no idea what's going to happen. But yeah, Marshall Chess Club in New York City closed the first week this hit. Like, they were like taking no chances. So
basically you have to say goodbye for playing chess in 2020 over the board.
Me, yeah. I mean, I was already basically planning on that, but I won't be playing until. Yeah, it's crazy. It's gonna be. Wow, it's gonna be the first year of my life I don't play an over the board chess game. Like since I was 6.
That must feel really really strange. Such an unusual situation. But what can you do? Just stream instead and
Yeah,
enjoy that.
that's it. But that is actually kind of crazy. Every year,
Yeah.
even the years that I barely play, I played like 20, 30 games. I played like a few tournaments in college, but uh, the big reason for that is that New York City Chess Club is like all New York City
Mm.
residential spaces. We have no room to breathe.
Yeah, it's not the biggest club, right? I remember I was in New York the summer of 2011 on a summer holiday, and then with my parents, and then we found this rapid event
Hmm?
in Marshall Chess Club, and I played there. But as far as I remember, it was not so big, so not so much space. And actually, we played in that event,
We did play in that event. Yeah,
which is very cool.
yeah. Were you famous already? Like, were you touted as like a prodigy?
No, not at all. I was like, okay, I was a good player. I think I was 2200 and I
Yes, you were
was
higher than me. I
12.
was scared of you.
I was 12 years old and 2200, but I mean, obviously, nobody knows you when you're
12
yeah
and
2200. I
2200,
would just
2200.
yeah just started playing chess. So
Yeah, it's true. You were 12. I guess I was 15, and you were maybe like 100 points higher than me. I remember the opening too.
you have a
Uh,
better memory than me. I actually
I,
don't. I didn't remember that we had played, but you
I know. It's funny because
you reminded me.
I don't remember my opponents in that tournament. I just remember that we played, and I think I remember that because there was a little bit of buzz. Because I think I was told like this kid's like from Norway or something, and he's like really good. And um, people at Marshall Chess Club, you guys have to understand, they're like, I don't know what analogy to give, but they know their faces. Like
Mm.
especially some of the older members of the club, they're like, they know everybody. When they see a new person with a new family, they're like, oh, who's this? They're like dogs or like birds or something. They're like, oh, and then they all kind of flock. And everybody was watching your games because they were like, who's this kid? Oh my God, he's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. I remember there was a lot of attention. But I really enjoyed it, and I hope we can go there again someday.
You've never been back to New York since then?
Never, yeah.
Wow.
I really want to go back actually, but I just somehow I never. I went to US in March 2019, but that was in St. Louis. I just played a
I
event there.
remember.
Yeah. Hope to go back soon after 10 years and play against you.
Yeah, maybe not. But I would, be happy to show you all the best. We only have one chess club, which is crazy in New York City. Like, doesn't I feel like Norway has a lot of chess clubs? We have one, basically.
Yeah, we definitely have like at least 3, 4 in Oslo, I think.
See,
And
Norway cares about
also,
chess. We
but your
we
chess club was really nice. I mean, we sometimes we have to play in like schools and yeah, like let's say not the best areas, but Oslo Chess Club has a really nice chess club which has a great history. It's been there for like since like 1880, I think. So it's the oldest club in Norway.
the cool. Well, the reason you can't have a chess club right now in Manhattan, at least you can have it in some of the other boroughs, is just the rent is crazy. Okay, we never talked about the result of the game. It was a draw. It was super
Oh,
GMs, and we drew the game. Not the Hikaru Magnus game. I mean, our game was a draw.
okay. I got
Sorry,
confused for a moment. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I drew our
sorry.
game. Yeah, we played amazing. So in the end, it was
Yes,
a
it's
draw.
just really good chess, and it's just neutralized. And actually, I think I offered you a draw. I actually remember what was. I think I remember what was going on in that game. It was like some attack. I don't remember who was attacking, but it was very dangerous, and I got very low on time because I was really afraid of you. And then I offered a draw, and I think you accept, or we repeated or something, and I felt really good. But then afterward, I was like, "Damn, I shouldn't have done that." So
Wow, I don't even remember playing against you, but you even remember what
I think
happened in the
so.
game. That's just
Yes,
that's just insane. Give me your
I
memory.
I've got to go and like I I'm planning on doing this when I moved. I have a bunch of old scorebooks. Like, do you have like old scorebooks where you wrote the moves down of all your games when you were like 5 or 6?
I wish I had. I wish I had for the memory. I didn't.
Like I have a ton. My grandparents had a ton and they gave them to me. And I'm like, I'm gonna analyze these games from when I'm like 7 years old, you know, writing gigantic letters and then drawing like doodles on the side and writing things. I used to write myself messages mid-game, like just because I thought I would just write jokes to myself. It's probably why I didn't become a GM. Just spent all my time being stupid.
These days it's risky. Yeah, suddenly the arbiter gives you unlost for doing that.
Yeah, it's crazy. You can't write notes to yourself anymore, man. It's horrible.
Yeah, I remember
Jesus.
what happened to Wesley in
Yeah.
2015.
The worst. I mean, he wrote, he wrote like little, like, I think it was like, biblical things or like little things to like motivate himself or focus, and
Yeah,
he was forfeited.
that's too hard. Too hard.
Terrible. Guys, we want to make this game entertaining, but unfortunately, I think there's a repetition in sight at this point.
Yeah, and okay, Hikaru has 3 minutes more, but the position looks okay. It continues with rook c4.
Mm.
It's very symmetrical, and the bishop on d6 is doing an excellent job, like protecting the pawn on c7, and it's very difficult for white to create anything. Knight d3 here, I guess, threatening knight b2. Yeah, he went bishop a6. Pushing the rook back to c1, and now, yeah, if he wants, I guess he can still jump to d3 with the knight. Maybe we'll see a repetition, rook c2, knight b4.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you allow black to get some more piece activity, it's going to be quite challenging to deal with black's activity. It's not just going to be repetition. There could be some way to even activate the rook. I don't think Magnus wants another 50-60 move game. I think he's very happy with what happens here. So he plays bishop d3, so that's not a repetition. This is he's trying to win the game is what is happening.
Yeah, or maybe he just thought that was the best move. And I think the point with bishop d3 is to stop knight f5, because maybe the pawn on e4 is hanging. And
Well,
also he's pointing out bishop c2. Sorry,
white
knight
also.
c2. I mean.
I'm assuming Hikaru will play f3 at some point, right? Like just f2, f3, just guard everything. I'm surprised he hasn't done it yet, but I guess he doesn't like weakening the position. I think.
Yeah, maybe, but it's not that weakening at the same time f3, because it's not so easy for black to take advantage of it. Anyway, he played rook c3, so white can black can maybe move his bishop. I'm not sure what black will do here. I don't see a reason for Magnus to play for a win here with black. I think he should be satisfied with a draw. Maybe a move like king h7 is normal, so you can maybe play like g6 and take the f5 square away from the white knight.
Still a strange position. I mean, I feel like also, don't you have to go in a few minutes?
Yeah, I guess I have to go in 2 minutes, so yeah, I guess this will be a draw anyway. But anyway, it's been nice to be with you for 2 hours, and
wow, we rounded up. I mean, it was only like, oh no, it was about 2 hours. Yeah, it was about 2 hours.
Time goes fast when you have fun. So I hope we will do it again soon.
Yeah, I hope so too. This is a kind of a boring end to the day, and I think the game will take a little bit longer than is necessary, but no, it is what it is. Are you going to sign off now? I mean, the next 3 minutes we can kill some time, but we can you can also get a head start on your journey.
Yeah, I'm just gonna eat a bit, and then I have to go. So Jennifer is taking over, right?
Yeah, I think what we'll do is I'll solo run it for now, unless she's totally available to kind of jump in immediately, and then yeah, we'll we'll have, yeah, you guys should follow Aryan. We should give you a big shout out, right? I mean, maybe we won't get
thanks
you.
a lot. Thanks a lot for the support, chat, and it's been very nice to be here. Hope to be back soon.
All right, see you. You can you can hop off the call whenever, and then I'll just move it back.
Okay, see you soon, Levy. Thanks.
See
Enjoy.
you.
Bye.
All right, it's gonna be a little bit weirdly cropped. It's just going to be a. Now we're gonna go here. We won't have a camera just yet. It's gonna be tours for like a second, but that's okay. All right. Then now we're gonna be here, and there we go. Look at that. That was easy. And I think Jen is gonna jump in a moment. How are we? Wow, I have so much power now. I'm solo running it. Feel powerful. I can't hear the music, but we do have some music. Jen Shahade is going to be joining. So she's a exceptionally strong chess player. She's also a poker pro, author. It's I mean, far more accomplished than me. We basically just bring people onto the show who are far more accomplished than I am. I serve to entertain, and they serve to, you know, talk about chess and life and all these great things. All right, maybe we finish the game. Bishop c4 from Magnus Carlsen. I'm assuming Hikaru will play rook c4. Actually, there is. Let me ask Jen if she even wants to join now. That would be completely okay. Oh, Jen will join now. Well, that's great. You guys don't even need to have me on. It's gonna be awesome. All right. Let me just make sure that I have the co-host name correct. And let's bring it over. Guys, it's gonna be tours for a second. I hope that's all right with you. I'm gonna have to turn my cam off. Let's get Jen into Zoom. Hello, Jen, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hello, can you see me?
I can see you, yes. They cannot see you. Let me crop.
Okay.
And we will. So I'm gonna turn this way.
Right. A little closer.
Yes, and also let me make sure that your name isn't Aryan.
Okay.
There's we'll put Jen. Okay, that was fast. Jen, we have a lot of this. We've got a huge group. We've got like 20,000 people. So what's your 30-second breakdown of Jen Shahade?
Wow, well, I am a chess player and I'm a huge advocate for women in chess. Long time supporter of Hikaru Nakamura. I think I've known this kid since he was 5 years old. And I am a poker player as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, because when you Google Jen, well, not just Jen, but you know, your name in particular, and your Twitch is what? Is it your name?
Yeah, my Twitch is Jen Shahade. So
okay, perfect.
Jen Shahade.
Try to put that as well. So when you look up Jen Shahade, you get American chess player. Does chess rank over poker for you, or is it right there with it? What's the status?
Well, chess is the game that I love even more because it's such a beautiful game. But I love the people that poker brings together. It's so much about psychology and your mindset. And by the way, these two players, Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura, are two of like the best poker players among the great chess players. Not including Rishik, of course.
Yeah, I just one. Okay. So I think. Could you do me a favor in Zoom on the bottom left? Are you connected to the right microphone?
I think so. Maybe it's just pointing a little off. Let's see.
This is what
Did
Zoom
a
does to
chess
my.
lesson. Speaking of chess and poker, I did a chess lesson with Finton earlier today. Finton Han.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Is that any better? I can go into my audio settings.
Yeah,
and
try to see if.
Maybe it needs to be. It's needing to be a little higher.
No, I remember we've done commentary before. I think I don't know. Is that the only microphone you have, or is it?
Oh wait, maybe they.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Okay, we're good now.
Wow,
Sorry,
that
I don't know
sounds
why.
professional.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like they picked up the wrong mic, but here we are. People, I hopefully sound a lot better. And meanwhile, has the game gotten any more exciting?
No, I think honestly this is the most exciting part of the day. Me cropping, co-hosts. Yeah. Okay. I'm a bit louder. Don't worry.
Although I did watch the first game. I know this is Hikaru's channel, but that was some game, Levy.
That was a very nice game. That was a very nice game from Magnus. You gotta give respect. And I was trying to get folks in the chat to reconcile their preference to have Hikaru win and cheer for Hikaru, and also give respect to Magnus because he seems to be in pain. Like, have you seen this story? What's developing? I don't know the details, but it seems he injured his back. So, you want to be professional. And
yeah, that's always really hard. I mean, playing chess after an injury, oh boy. I mean, he played so great though. So the one thing about playing chess when you're a little bit tired or hungover or sick is that sometimes it's almost nice to escape from that other reality and just be forced to look at chess moves.
Somebody says he needs to go to a chiropractor. I'm not sure what the contract of the event says in terms of, getting doctor assistance in the middle of the match. But I would imagine that playing through, I specifically back pain, which apparently is this case what's occurring. Back pain for chess is awful because all we do is sit, right? That's the reality of the situation. It's just we are constantly in some sort of chair. I don't know. Would you say that but poker, you also sit a lot?
Yes, it's really bad. Poker and chess have that in common. You got to get your yoga in when you can. It's hard because it's so addicting. These games are so fun. These online communities are so fun, but you do have to remind yourself to get up from the chair and stretch out. You can get a standing desk. A lot of people do that, right? Top poker players and chess players experiment with that. And unfortunately, Magnus probably didn't have time to work that out. But what's going on here? Is there any preference at all here for okay, I mean, you could say white is slightly better, right? Because now they're threatening knight f6 check as well as knight takes pawn. So what do we do now as Magnus?
Yeah, that's
something.
Based on everything that we've seen in the last 20 moves, it does seem like he's getting something. How do you defend e5 is a very good question. Don't defend e5. f6 is a bigger problem. Right, so...
Yeah, so you probably have to sneak a check in, and then in rook endgames, it's all about getting counterplay. So I feel like to stop knight f6, because that's a fork, and that would be the end. Maybe you squeeze rook d1 check in, and then you maybe attack the b pawn. Just try to keep the balance. When you can't defend things in the normal way, then you have to take the counter-attacking approach.
Yes, and to appease all of you in the chat, e5 is once again hanging. We've created a lot of memes and a lot of memories over the course of this final, and one of those is the fact that the e5 pawn seems to fall in a lot of these games. It's just what we've noticed. Not to mention the h4 h5, right? I feel like h4 h5 is seen a lot now at Super GM level.
Yeah, that alpha zero influence. Well,
seriously.
Then you got to play the Sicilian, because if you play the Sicilian, then you don't have a pawn on e5 and it can't be hanging.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I think we've evolved to saying it no matter what now. Rook e7. I think Magnus could use an endgame lesson from Jen. That is not an active rook move. That is not.
Although it does. Okay, he's got a little what's the idea that if knight takes e5, there's knight d4, but then we have rook c5.
Yeah, rook c5 just guards, but we have rook c5 and knight c6, which is a whoa. Okay, so Hikaru took on h6 check, which is logical, and now knight d4. Yeah, it was weird. Now e5's not hanging. Don't play rook c3.
Because then there's a little fork on e2. So instead, let's do rook c5 again. And so I'm just trying to get your e5 pawn.
Right. Center of attention, knight b3. Is rook e5, knight e5 completely winning for white? Like, this endgame looks very nice, but black does have a c-pawn, and that's all happening. So, okay, well, Magnus just plays f6.
Yeah, he didn't want to go for this. I think he thought this was lost. They like to say that knight endgames are like pawn endgames because you can't lose a tempo. So they have, with a knight, so they have a lot of similarities. And I think Magnus quickly assessed that as lost. So f6 seems like a much better move, right?
Yeah, f6 just doesn't lose anything. Rook c6 would be great if you weren't losing the entire rook. Then you hit the f6 pawn, and there's some serious difficulty there for black. So what's the plan here? How are we going to put more pressure on the black position? Knight e3, knight d5?
Yeah, although you could always try to play c6, and that's going to be well defended by the knight on d4. Then we'd have to reroute ourselves to a5. But I feel like I just see a lot of draws in the offing there, that even if I win a pawn somehow, that, Magnus is going to get active with the rook and make a draw. Of course, Magnus would also, Hikaru would also like to get active with his king.
He really would like to get active with his king. They both would love to activate their kings. I think it's going to be a little bit easier for Hikaru. He doesn't have to worry about pawn weaknesses. Is Magnus's king like optimally placed right now? Because the thing is, if you move it to d6, you can totally run into, well, now actually you can put it on d6 because rook d5 is no longer possible.
By the way, I really like this move c6 by Magnus because it just occurred to me that if he doesn't play c6, maybe Hikaru would actually play b5 with the idea of just like locking everything down.
Aha. Yes, that was something. Okay, and now g5. Look at this, c6 and g5. So Magnus locking down Hikaru's pawn play on both sides. Or
Okay,
can't
so
move any pawns.
2 minutes for each side, and it looks like I maybe brought some luck to this game. I don't think it's as boring as we thought it was going to be. I feel like yeah, Hikaru has some chances here, especially as the clock's tick down. Let's see.
This is how titled players get excited for positions. Rook knight and 5 versus rook knight and 4, low time. This is an important game now, but I think, yeah, rook a7 and rook a2 is a little bit annoying.
Oh yeah, it's that active play that we needed. Okay, all right. So that's a good idea. What if I park my? You're going to be, if you play rook a2 and knight e2 check, that's going to be really annoying. And then knight f4, right? So that's kind of on black's agenda to get tons of counterplay here.
Knight f4, and then even things like rook e2, rook a3. The knight on e3 holds together the g2 pawn, but... Well then, yeah. My question, does knight c2... Do you want to play knight c2, or is that just a draw?
I feel like that's like almost definitely a draw. I think if Hikaru wants to fight for a win here, knight c2 is not the way. But he did do it, probably because he didn't see anything against rook a2. Too much counterplay, maybe. But it's hard to imagine Magnus not drawing this. Not only is he only down a pawn, but he also has the more active rook, right?
Yeah, the rook on a4 is very annoying. Hikaru could have taken on c6, but then rook b4, and the 3-on-4 endgame is just not enough to win, so he keeps the b pawn. And now he's bringing his king.
All right, so... he's still gonna try, though. Why not? You have an extra pawn, right?
Yeah, just play. What's the worst that can happen? You make a draw. Well... Okay, king h5. Wait, but now, wait a second. But now rook c2, rook c6, rook f6. Wait a second. Doesn't rook c2 force rook a6 now?
And suddenly what I said before about Magnus having the active rook has flipped is because
Yeah.
Levy, your idea was great. Rook c2, rook takes b4, rook c6, and you were one move behind and white would be getting too many pawns.
Yeah, so, I mean, Magnus plays king h5, but he should have just played something that defended the pawn, because actually now, practically speaking, this is getting a lot harder. Whoa, 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 whoa. No, but I think this is very dangerous. This is not what a rook endgame is about.
Okay. King on g3.
No, this is...
Yikes.
This must be lost. I mean, king c5, king d6, as well as just... Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. King c5, just simple chess. Wow. Maybe after king c5, rook b1, king c6, rook b4, black could try to hang in there.
Yeah, there is still some degree of danger, because if you move your rook away from c2, like up or anything like that, then I take on g2, I take all these pawns, and it's all about calculating.
He did go for this rook to b1. Okay, so now king c6, rook b4. I don't think Hikaru wants to trade those two pawns. He'd rather keep the b4 pawn in this situation on c5. Maybe he could just how do we play here as white? Rook d2 to d6 maybe.
Let's put it this way, it must be winning, but only because of long term. Like, for example, I see a future where I take on c6, and I bring my king toward your pawn on f6, you have to put the rook on the 6th rank, and I get my king to f5. And that must be winning. I think. I'm not... But the king on g3 is so annoying. It's so annoying.
Exactly. So it's going to take a really delicate hand here to win the game. And here it is, king to d6. Now look at king e7 as a threat. Uh-oh. And notice how the pawn is actually an obstruction. Because if the pawn were gone, then after king e7, at least you could play rook c6, right?
Yeah.
But the king is getting in the way of black's best defensive ideas.
Oh, Jen, is the point here that you don't even waste time taking c6? You just go directly for the meat on f6?
It's an incredible conception, guys. So the point is, like, white actually wants the pawn on c6, because if the pawn's on c6, then you can't defend the meat of the position, as Levy points out, with rook b6. That's gorgeous.
That is nice, and this should do it. That's crazy. One move into the rook endgame, and Magnus blunders. And that okay, c5 is still tricky, because rook c5, rook b6, and you have to go back with the king, which, you know, might not win.
It's not over. Magnus is certainly going to try everything. And look at this, rook b6 check. So Hikaru did not take the c5 pawn, so he's only up one pawn. And while black's pawns are all weak, 3 different pawn islands, you still see these material rapidly getting wiped off the board.
Yeah, whoa, wait a second. Why did that have to happen? Hold on. When c5 happened, I just assumed that getting the king onto the 7th rank was not going to work. This is just a draw. I mean, everything gets traded.
Yes, something. I guess he did have to try. It sounds like Levy, he had to try that taking that pawn on c5, even if there were some drawing chances. It's better than this, which is a draw right now. We can call it.
Yeah, we just got down to king versus king. Well, what happened? So c5 was super creative to try to go rook b6. So you're saying Hikaru had to play rook c5?
Yeah, it sounds like some people in the chat are even saying that, like, it was a mouse slip. I don't think so. What do you think? They're saying because what did Hikaru play instead of rook c5 again?
He played rook c3, which
they're saying that maybe that was a mouse slip, that he meant to play rook c. I mean, that I don't know. Maybe he just didn't think. Maybe he just thought rook c5, rook b6, king g3. He wasn't sure of the evaluation. I don't know.
Yeah, I also don't know. I mean, the only way I can justify rook c3 is you prevent king e3, but the king is maybe. Oh, he might have been threatening g3. maybe that was his idea, and king g3, king e5. I don't know.
So close, Levy, to tying it up in the very second game. But at least it gave us some excitement.
Yeah, like, wow, I'm still completely... So when I saw c5 and rook b6, I didn't know that getting forced to the 7th rank and cut off would be a draw. I just assumed that you could play something like king g6 and king h5 just to hide on an active square. Wow, but that is a missed chance for sure. And, well, 2 more rapid games to go. I'm going to just put us on a quick break screen, and then we have a long break, so when we come back, the games won't even be started yet, but we could talk about whatever. The games, chess, poker, life. Talk to the chat a little bit. So quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, thank you for your patience, everybody. We are back. Hope you all got a snack, got some water. Stay hydrated. It's currently 1.5 to half. Magnus Carlsen in the lead. Missed chance there for Hikaru. I wonder. Whoa, and we are not even waiting. We are just jumping into it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. I like knights.
Yeah, I thought that they would give you the 3 queens, but I think the knights are also nice in this position. Can't complain.
Okay. So technically I'm up 3 points, right? Because it's 18 to 21.
Yes.
But, I feel like I have a lot of superfluous knights, Levy.
I'll take one. I mean,
They're all trying to do the same thing.
That is true.
Okay, I need to get the center. Actually, I remember Hikaru talking about something really interesting in 960, where he said that he felt like a common mistake that people make in 960 is that they don't move the pawn in front of the knight. So, like, for instance, they play like knight d6 without getting the control of the center.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just like a general principle thing that he noticed, not like, obviously not a hard and fast rule. So I'm thinking of Hikaru when I play d5.
What always ends up happening to me here is I get to a nice looking position, and then I cannot make any sort of progress at all. Just somehow, like, I think I'm gonna play very passively this game.
Is there an increment? Oh, this is just 4 minutes straight.
Yeah, 4 minutes straight up.
Okay, so speed is important.
You can join the group of titled co-hosts who defeat me in odds games. Although I only got to play one against Aryan because he had to go.
Dodge.
Next game in 7 minutes.
He dodged you.
I don't know how this works, but I feel like the knights are very nice.
I do. I'm sure the knights are better, but the thing about it is the queens should do better with the position opening up, which is, I was tempted to play c5, but I'm not totally sure. Okay. I'm not too worried if I lose a knight.
I wonder why. Just so many replacements available.
I know.
Okay, fine. Maybe you'll take on d4 and...
No, I'm not going to. No, I'm going to go knight d7. I have
Somebody's asking if you ever considered streaming on Twitch. That's kind of...
I do stream on Twitch. Yes. I stream chess and poker. So basically I started streaming partly because of, when quarantine hit, I had more time to figure it out. And also Poker Stars just launched in PA like less than a year ago. So I can actually play regulated poker from where I live, which is really nice. Because, there's so many great Twitch channels. I wanted to offer something a little different. So what I do is I play poker and chess at the same time. And often...
That is impressive, to say the least.
Well, depends on how I play. Sometimes it's less impressive than other times. Because it can be quite difficult, obviously. All right. Let's see. I'm starting to reach some difficulties here. I need to do something. I need to get these knights popping. What position is in my wall? Oh, it's actually one of my son's chess sets. It's a Sesame Street chess set.
Very nice. Sesame Street has a chess set? Man, I grew up on Sesame Street, and there was no chess sets back then, I don't think.
Actually, it's an old chess set. You can see how old it is because, like, okay, I'm going to play this game first because I'm in a little trouble here.
I actually think that it's deceptive. Like, it looks like you're gonna get in trouble with, but the pawns and the queens can't. I've gotten some decent positions, and it just never works out.
So anyway, I was going to say that you can tell it's an old school Sesame Street chess set because what piece does it not have? It does not have the most popular character among the little kids now. That wasn't around, I think. Well, maybe they were around when you were a kid, but not when I was a kid.
No, I had two things from Sesame Street growing up. I had a stuffed Elmo.
Okay, yes. Yes, okay, that's the one. It doesn't have Elmo chess set. It's so old school Sesame Street, it doesn't even have Elmo. Because Elmo is like a more recent character. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, I had Cookie Monster. That I did have. So scared. I mean, I have all these pawns, but these knights are ridiculous.
Okay. We got 1 minute and 10 seconds.
That's really scary.
Okay, let's just be aggressive. Up. Okay. Attack a knight, then this knight
That's
isn't take.
not
Don't
nice
forget.
of you. Like, I thought I finally got a
forget.
knight.
Did you say that's not knight of me?
I said it's not nice of you. Oh, no, that would have been I don't know. I feel like chat would have eaten me alive if I did that. Not.
Okay.
Wow. Is that
You could
free?
try it. Oh, that's a pawn. Okay. What do I do? I don't know what to do. Let's go here.
Can't make any moves. This is what I mean. Like, I get to a position, I'm like, I'm happy, and then I can't make moves.
I feel the same way. I'm having trouble making progress here. I feel like I should have a lot of wins.
Got my queens on the sides.
There's a check. Don't lose on time. Okay. Don't lose on time.
I don't think they set us up to not lose on time. I think we're... Oh my gosh, that is just a night wall. Like, how do I... What? What is this? I'm gonna hide my king. Guys could not get the a7 pawn. Wish I could. Oh, you're threatening a fork. Oh my god. Is my queen trapped?
I can't even look. I'm not even thinking. I'm just trying not to lose on time.
Yeah, and this is... Alright, I don't know. I just gotta go for it. This isn't... Oh, and I think the game started. The game did start. I feel as though since I'm down 7 points, it's respectable to resign in this position.
I won!
I feel like, you know, playing for some sort of dirty flag with the queen, gonna resign. That was a strong performance on Jen's part. Centralizing the knights.
All right.
Only
Okay,
Aryan
guys.
couldn't beat me. Aryan couldn't beat me. I will take that.
Okay, where are we? We got a chess cam, and this one each side gets 2 knights. So we are with them. Where?
Wait, what?
where are
They drew.
What? Yeah, I thought I was.
Wait, they drew. What?
What? Wait, let's show us the game. Show us the game, Levy. What happened?
It's deja vu, Jen. We've seen this before. This happened already on the 2nd or 3rd day. It was a Berlin from Hikaru, and Magnus played this line. where he puts his bishop and queen out, and Hikaru repeats. I mean, now I feel stupid for resigning. Can I get that game back?
Well, I'm sure we'll have a time to play another one. But let's explain why. Like, why in your opinion, did Magnus go for this line, and why did Hikaru repeat?
I think Hikaru in general does not mind. I mean, he's supposed to be, according to traditional chess thought, he's supposed to defend, right? Like, he has to defend with the black pieces. He has to not lose this game. And if Magnus needs a break, and at this point in the match, it seems to not matter what the opening is, whether you're playing it with white or with black. Like, I think they both are just happy to get to a position and play chess. Why repeat if you're Hikaru? Because you're up 3-2. Probably your maximum winning chances are with the white pieces. That's why Hikaru repeats. Why Magnus repeats? Needs a rest. He literally needs a rest. But just, need to hold a draw now. And he wins today's mini match.
Yeah, maybe he just figures that it's better to not risk anything with white and just try to make that draw with black and win today. So rather than playing a game where, sure, he's got the better chances because he's white, he takes this approach. Of course, not fun for us, as we would love to see the game. But the good news is that when Hikaru is white, there will be no quick draws because he's got one job, and that is to try his very best to win that game and force a tiebreak.
Yeah, I'm still I can only try to explain it. I don't have the full-on explanation. Wow, now everybody gets a bunch of knights.
Oh gosh, I played this with Anna and Alex and Anna. Anna and Anna were playing a femme fatale with me and Botez playing for America, and they gave us this game. And I think Chess Bay remembers because I said afterwards we talked about our favorite and least favorite positions, and I said this was my least favorite because it's at some point we got a knight in game.
Imagine that.
Actually normal one, like knight versus knight. Like one, we just traded up on the knights, and we were much worse actually. We managed to finagle a draw.
It's a great word, by the way. Is that word in the dictionary, or is it slang, or is it a real word?
Finagle? Oh,
yeah.
I believe it's a real word. I would never make up a word. Not on Twitch.
It's dangerous, I think the other day, maybe like a week ago at this point, I said a word that just, I don't know, it dawned on me, and it turned out to be like a 18th century British drinking game, and I was like, of course, like of all the things, it was that.
How can I force checkmate here? I am trying to look for a smothered mate.
If you
go knight e2 and knight d2, knight g2 mate.
I'm guarding. Attacking with one knight, that's breaking opening principles. We have to develop all 7 of our knights before we go on the attack.
No, you're right. It probably wasn't a good move. I was just so excited to talk about finagling. I'm already on the defensive.
I lost this against Eric Rosen.
I have to say f3 e4 was clever. I feel like that was a good move. That was a good maneuver. I don't know what to do against that. I'm already in some trouble, maybe.
Did I just pioneer the theory of the 7 knights game?
I like it because normally you don't play f3 because you're weakening diagonals, but here, who cares about a weak diagonal? You have no diagonal pieces, right? So
that is true.
It actually makes a lot of logical sense to play f3 because you're just trying to get the big center.
But at the same time, I think you need to avoid a locked position, right? Because how much space matters here. Space advantage.
So question, when does the next game start? Do we
15
know?
minutes, basically. So, well, now it's down to like 10, but yeah, 15 minutes.
Okay, all right. So, yes, we're still going to get to see some action pretty soon, guys.
It's the
Not
final.
that this isn't, of course, this is like
Yes.
the most interesting thing you could possibly see, though.
Exactly. Right. Anybody? Ooh. That's
Learning that D4
Wasted
pawn.
Jossie just gifted 5 subs.
Look at all those gift subs.
yeah. Thank you guys.
We're not
And
going to
that-
miss the next game, the Man with Kappa. I think after this game,
Andrew underscore Rem
we'll talk a little bit about what we
2112
expect in the
just
next
gifted
game
5
and
subs.
make sure not to miss it. Okay, so you're turning my knight.
Oh. This is a little bit better for white. It would be fun if both sides got like one rook and one bishop. See, I think the bishop has some advantage actually. Early on. Late, obviously.
It's just all that center control, Levy. You got like a really good center. And I feel like if I take, no matter what I take, it fortifies your center, actually. Probably at some point I'm going to have to do something because I am having trouble moving my pieces around. Moving my knights around.
Yeah, but I don't actually know like the value of sacrificing a knight. Like, give away a knight for 2 pawns?
Okay. Yeah. Oh, good idea. I'll do it.
I was just talking hypothetically. Don't
Screw these superfluous knights.
Sure, I mean-
Superfluous knights is a famous chess expression by the great chess trainer Dvoretsky, but I don't think he was talking about this position.
Really? What did he say? What was the?
You never heard of superfluous knights?
I never. It sounds like a indie band of some sort, you know. But
Oh man, you haven't read the classics.
well, I read it, but I don't think I internalized it.
Okay, so superfluous knight is when what do I do here? Shoot. I'm in some trouble. Trouble.
The clock is the scarier of the two.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm not doing well in this position. I'm losing like some of my pawns. Maybe I was wrong about sacrificing a knight.
Yeah, but it still was unpleasant because then I think if I play f4 and take on d5, it's also. Oh wait, knight d8's not even a fork. Go. I'm sorry. I go. Here. Heck. I've been playing odds games against Hikaru on stream for like the past like 3 weeks, so it's just made me play a lot faster.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'm lost. Okay, so yeah, I think I was in some trouble though. Like your center was very formidable. I think it just goes to show you, even in these games, it's all about the center. Underestimating the center is a perilous thing to do, guys. That's a lesson. And knights are really good. But what were we talking about? The superfluous knight. Okay, so this is a concept from Dvoretsky where basically, suppose you have a really nice knight on e5 and you have a knight on d3. His argument was that the knight on d3 is superfluous because it really wants to get to the e5 square. So you would actually be like happy to trade it off so that the one knight can play the star role. Yeah, it's a kind of thing that comes up where you basically, another way to think about it is that you have two knights and they both want the same square. So therefore you should try to get into a situation where you only have the one knight and you know where it wants to go.
Oh. Yeah, I think I'm always like struck because I've taught a lot, and so I primarily when I was teaching from like kindergarten to 8th grade, and I found that if you put a term on something, you can't tell a kindergartner superfluous knights, but you can tell something along those lines that would be a little bit more in their lexicon. Like they remember stuff a lot better if you just rather than just saying sentences explaining why like certain things are good, and knowledge sticks that way, and it's like a lot more digestible. So I think teaching adults totally different because
I love that. I mean, you're basically explaining the need for language, Levy, and for a vast vocabulary.
well,
As
no, I mean I was primarily a chess coach, but no, I just it's true though, right? I think that's the best way to think.
and with that in mind, can you give me an example of something in chess that really needs a term but doesn't have one yet? Because I can think of some examples where it's like I have to explain in 2 sentences something, and I'm like, why isn't there not a word for that?
Sure. Okay, like opposition in the end game. Like when you need to put the king what distant opposition or something like that. Like I used to like, or any sort of situation where like you can deliver checkmate with a queen and a king directly in front of a king, like not from the side. So I would teach kids that's like in your face. Get like in the face of the king, and you don't let the king pass, and they'd be like, oh, I gotta get in the face of the, because kids are, I'm not gonna tell them opposition. They're gonna be like, what is that? So that's for for kids. But I do know some people who will watch like chess kid videos because Mike Klein will break things down in such an easy way because he uses such simple language to like analyze positions, as a 5-year-old has to understand it, opposed to a working professional, but it still breaks it down super easily and like in a super digestible fashion.
Yeah, I love that. I love that explanation. And it's funny because Chade Hawk, who it helps me a lot with my Twitch stream, he made fun of me. He was helping me with a video edit, and I used the word acquiesce. And he's like, "What are you doing using the word acquiesce with children?" I'm like, it was teenagers. They knew the word, but.
I mean,
yes, indeed. I think that's a great example, actually. Different checkmates that don't have names. Like we have the back rank checkmate, but the smothered mates. We have a lot of good ones, but there's certain checkmates that it feels like if you had a name for it, it would make learning easier. Another one that I see a lot of the time is, how when you take a pawn, like say I play like knight takes e5 and you have bishop takes d7, it looks like you win your piece back, but I have knight takes d7. I call it like a switchback.
A switchback.
Yeah, that doesn't really have a name, and it's like it comes up so frequently that it really needs one.
Well, XQC pioneered a lot of nicknames in the last PogChamps. Actually, for back rank mate in particular, it's now called the Ice Skater, because you skate all the way to the back rank. I actually thought Ice Skater would make more sense for ladder checkmate, but ladder checkmate already has a good name because it's ladder. Each, like the feet, they each get a turn. So, but Ice Skater is one. And as far as like, how would you nickname bishop or two bishops, like bishop pair? That's already pretty simple. But if you, if you teach kids like about, I don't know, I can't think of anything on the spot, but good ideas come out of these streams, because then we can write a children's book in terms of chess, narrated by who would narrate it?
Oh, Yasser?
I was gonna say he probably has like the best. Yeah, it's got Yasser and XQC page by page give like a different worlds, different tones of voice.
Yes, so many people like that voice. So many great voices in chess. So yeah, I'm really excited about this game. What do you think Nakamura is going to play? What's your prediction on the opening?
Look, every game that he's had white, he's played e4. The last time that I said he wouldn't do it, he did it. I gotta go with e4. And if he surprises me, then I'll be pleasantly surprised. But how do you beat the Berlin is my question. You've got to beat the Berlin. And
that's why I think maybe he will switch it up and play c4 or d4. And Levy, if he does, will you be happy just to see something new? Or do you think it also gives Nakamura better chances in this absolutely critical game?
It's e4. It's too late. He played e4 after all. And we have the same thing. Yeah.
The game is underway. You're right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And we get g6.
Okay. Well, this is gonna be fun though. I mean, it is Nakamura. Like, I can't really argue with his choice because he's one of the best players in the world, and certainly at this format. But yeah, I'm excited about this game. It's going to be very rich. What's good about this for Hikaru is that there's not a lot of trades, right? Very close. Right now, there's no trades, and there's not going to be that many in the next 5 to 10 moves, which really behooves the player who needs to win, which is of course Nakamura.
Yeah, and Magnus has tried a few different things. He hasn't always gone back to the same setup consistently. Like, he had just played bishop to e7. Now he plays g6, bishop g7. I think they had this already. The exact move order escapes me. But Hikaru went for a quick d4, and now he's not doing that. Playing rook e1.
All right. It looks like the chat likes the word behoove. That's a pretty word though, right?
It is. Rook e8 is not a pretty move, is what's confusing to me. Rook e8 has almost never been played in this position. I'm not some connoisseur of these lines, but so the move orders obviously will flow into each other, but the move rook e8 in particular hasn't been played exactly. Odd.
Yeah, well, it does pin your knight. It self-pins. And look at this move by Nakamura, knight to f1. Very typical in these types of positions as he's trying to both open his bishop on c1, also knight e3, can come in later, occupying the d5 square. I like the idea even more when there's no fianchetto, because then we can stick a knight on f5 sometimes, which isn't going to happen. But sure, like, I think white has a pleasant game, and I love it for the match situation, Levy. Again, no trades at all so far. Not a pawn, not a piece.
Not a pawn, not a piece, and completely up to Hikaru, it seems, where the game is going to be played. So is it going to be, can he go for something like h4, h5? Can he go for something like d4? Bring the bishop back and play in the center?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about the Ruy Lopez, that you start with the bishop on b5, but the star diagonal is often a2 to g8, right? Like, that's where we really, really want to be, because so much beautiful action happens there, especially now that your rook's on e8. So that's why the move b5 we're not concerned with, because actually Nakamura's very happy to be on bishop b3 and looking at moves like knight g5, which would actually be devastating potentially. So
exactly, yeah.
So yeah, that's why what you might see is something like b5, bishop b3, knight a5, or d5, or bishop e6, something to counter that right away.
h6 to stop anything from going to g5, I guess. From Magnus.
By the way, I see Anna Rudolf in the chat, so I'm hopeful that she's doing well, and a big shout out.
Yeah, a lot of people were worried when they saw Mr. Tari, and not Anna this morning. Yeah, Anna's in some pain, actually, in quite severe pain, and she said that she would still be cheering on in the chat. So really, a lot of respect and good wishes going our way, because streaming through pain, well, we're already seeing Magnus do it. We have Anna. 2019, for like 50% of it, I had back pain. It wasn't an injury that I sustained at the beach, which I think is what Magnus's story is. But yeah, back pain is no joke. Yoga, Pilates, hopefully just anything to avoid, painkillers and surgery, which is like a last resort.
And the thing is, you also d5 played, and that's always a move that we love to get in as black if it's not bad. If it's not bad, we love to play it, because it allows us to free our queen. It allows us to free so many pieces. And in reality, in the Ruy Lopez, black often has the development equality, or even a development advantage sometimes, because of the kind of luxurious maneuvers that white plays. Knight d2, knight f1, knight g3, 3 moves to develop a knight. So that's why I think black was always so excited to play d5. Opening up the game can be very good for black.
Hikaru seems to be taking a very similar approach that he took in game 2 when Magnus played b5 and then Hikaru moved his bishop and played a4. And okay, there it is, right on cue. There it is. But in that game, Magnus had a bishop on f8, not g7. 6.
Bishop e6, and now we can see why h6 was very useful. No pesky knight g5s in the air.
A very easy position, it seems like, to play something. Just relax, take a deep breath, develop all your pieces, and then see what you're going to do with your b and d pawns. Are you going to e4? Are you going to play d4? Take e4, trade the queen.
So chat, tell us who you like in this position, because I think it's like a toss-up. I see what you're saying, that maybe it's a little easier, especially for people who aren't used to playing the Ruy Lopez. It could be easier to play for black because it's like you've got this classical center. I personally like white still, because the thing about that pawn on b5 is that it's actually not a good thing a lot of the time. It actually weakens a lot of squares. It weakens your a pawn. It weakens your knight on c6. I get to play the move a4 and my rook on a1 is activated.
Exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if we got that very soon. Even a4. I was asking Aryan about b4. Very loud aircraft flying. Okay, it's gone now. I was asking Aryan about b4, but b4 can get hit with d4, and then taking on d4 weakens the b4 pawn. He just plays bishop d2. Do you think he's gonna go queen c1?
Oh, bishop d2 to go queen c1. Okay, that's an unusual maneuver, Levy. But it's weird because the bishop's not really that much better on d2 than it is on c1. But it does perform the function of allowing us to make that battery. So there you go. Now that needs a name.
Queen c1, bishop d2?
Yes, exactly. Or just in general, like the kind of like diagonal battery with putting the bishop in front. Because you got like the Alekhine's gun, which is rook, rook, queen. But there aren't really any other terms for different types of batteries, which I think it would be useful.
Yeah, seriously. Okay, so battery is the term, and I've been using that term, and I don't know where that term comes from. Like, I was taught that that's a battery. I don't know if I read that in a book. I don't know if I don't know.
Juicer, somebody said. I like that. Juicer, sniper, Duracell, butter knife. Man, you got some creative chat here today.
Yeah, juicer that's the OG. Pawns. We started with pawns being juicers. I think we evolved to all pieces being juicers, and then I think a week or two ago we decided that we're all juicers, all of us. It was a philosophical moment, if you can have one on Twitch. Everybody grew as a person that day.
Yeah, speaking of philosophical things, I would give a shout out to what you were saying before about being in pain and how difficult it is, whether it's back or tooth, and everybody who's actually feeling close to 100% or 100% now, just be grateful for it, because a lot of times we only notice when we're not feeling well, right, Levy? When you're feeling fantastic, you take it for granted.
Seriously, that's actually a great way to think about it. And that applies to that applies to even chess. You win a game, you don't give yourself enough credit, you don't spend time feeling good, you just go, this is my job. But the losses for some reason affect us so much more. We don't appreciate the positive moments, whether that's health, chess. Would you say it's the same in poker? Like, if you have a good cash, you do rejoice quite a bit.
I think people are the same in poker. Like if they're having a downswing, it's so painful. But if they're having an upswing, like sometimes it's like, well, I'm good, so of course I'm winning. Now, as for this position, I have to say I really like white. I mean, I think it's, for me at least, I feel like it's like a lot easier to play for white. This move a4 played now. I've been dying to play that move because it just highlights the weakness of the pawn on b5, and it gets our rook on a1 into the game at the same time. By the way, early coach taught me that this is called a lever, as you're opening up a door. So that's a levier, I might say today.
I a lever. Interesting. I've never heard this, but A4 is very logical because he just played bishop d2, and people say, what the heck does A4 and bishop d2 have to do with each other? Because it defends b4 through the c3 pawn, so Magnus cannot play b4. So Magnus is abandoning the A file completely. He's just saying take, and that's it.
Yeah, he's abandoning it. You're right though. Like, yeah, they A4 and bishop D2. Like we were expecting queen C1, and then he just started with. But he can always play queen C1 later. No rush. And of course, Black will reply with king H7. Hikaru also off to a 3-minute lead. So feeling good so far. I think Hikaru fans. I mean, you don't expect the world champion to just like lose the game instantly. So all things considered, I think that Hikaru fans should be pretty happy right now.
It's as optimal as he can have it, up 2.5 minutes. But now the biggest decision is, what does he do in the center and what does he do on the queen side? Can he take on d5 and then hope for some sort of advantage? Can he take on b5 and hope for some sort of advantage? Can he play like queen c1, king h7, and then just play on the queen side? You know, 4, etc. Like
At some point, we've got to take something, right? We can't keep the position closed forever and win. And he did try something similar to what you were saying, Levy, to play takes on A4, and now B4. So preventing Black from ever playing B4, which fixes that weakness on B5. And one of the reasons this position, even though optically Black's doing fine, is sometimes a little bit of a pull for White, is because the knight on C6 is actually really awkward. Because a lot of times we want to play like C6 or C5, but we can't because our knight's there.
right?
And we can't really move it away either, because then, well, your famous pawn will fall, right?
Yeah, and if you try to, I was gonna say, if you try to defend the e5 pawn, not the d6 pawn, there's nothing on d6, but if you try to defend the e5 pawn before you move the knight on c6, you're not gonna be able to do that. Not gonna be able to do that. So
yeah, I think that, let's see if it's White's move here, what would White do? Would White try to like double up on the A file? Is there any, my question is there anything really to be achieved by doubling up on the A file? It's like, we don't really have any targets. The only target I see is B5, and I can't really get to that via the A file. So like if I played queen C1 and you played king H7, what would my plan be? Well, maybe that's a moot point now because D4 was just played by Magnus.
So you've got to take this, I would imagine. Although, can you go c4? And if takes 5, stupid. Sometimes I get too aggressive.
Oh wow, that's an amazing idea. I love that because you're getting E5. And isn't that like the theme, pawn?
It's the theme, but I'm kind of concerned, you know, because like knight b8 and knight e5 hits the queen, but the queen will move to like d6. No, but d6 bishop f4. Wait a second. Queen d6 bishop f4 does look like a problem, but see, like there you go. Like I played a move bishop f4, computer doesn't like it. So you've got to be like super sharp here. If you don't play that.
Because you're threatening knight takes g6 here, which is good, right?
Yes, that was my logic.
Maybe I can play g5, and then if knight g6 takes on f4.
Oh, that's mean. And if I play knight c4, you take on f4 with the queen. Oh, that's mean. g5. Wow.
Yeah, it's bizarre. You would think, one would think you have something here, but maybe not. Just as weird like that.
You can also take on d4, and yet beyond that, it seems like you can even ignore the pawn, because if you get your bishop to c3, then it's also nice. At least you attack the e5 pawn. So what does Hikaru do? I would spend like 8 minutes in this position of my remaining 11 and probably play something bad, because it's like you have 3 good choices and you can't tell them apart. So I don't know what you would play here.
Well, I think that an important takeaway for those in the chat who are trying to get better at chess is when you see a move like d4 and you start to realize there are ideas like c4, which is a gorgeous idea, even if it doesn't work, as well as taking on d4, as well as just chilling, right? So you could, this is actually pretty classic because you could fortify by playing like rook a3, or you could advance by playing c4, or you could capture. So it's kind of this classic triple choice. And that means that you should really think. It's a rapid game, but this is a moment where taking 3 minutes is totally legit. And not 8 minutes, like Levy said. That would be a little extreme,
Yeah.
right? But taking 3, it makes a lot of sense here. And that's how you should, when you're playing these 10 and 15-minute games, you should think about that. Like, there might be a couple of times in the game where you get to sink into a deep think. And it should usually be situations where there's a bunch of different options of captures.
And now we have, as expected, Hikaru thinking about what to play. Gonna need a serious burst of energy here. Maybe that comes in the form of c4. C takes d4, keeps the position a bit more closed. Gotta tell you, I really like the c4 idea, but it comes with a risk. But when you are playing for a must win, might be the way to go. If it's game 1, a little different. But game 4.
I have a question. What if after c4 takes on c4 instead of b5, you play bishop a4?
Oh, he played a move. Oh, he played queen c1.
Okay. Queen c1, threatening bishop takes h6. Although you could take on c3, and then if bishop h6, you take on b4 as well. And unfortunately for Hikaru, I don't see any like exciting follow-up there on the king side.
Yeah, maybe he's just baiting. I think he's trying to get Magnus to take on c3. So he wanted this with pressure on e5. Knight h7 is an ugly necessity, it feels like, to defend this e5 pawn. What does Hikaru want here? Because the queen side seems vaguely frozen.
Battery, queen b2. We talked about that bishop queen battery. Here it is again, hitting on e5. 3 times. It's only defended twice at the moment. Although, even if it was our move and we took on e5, at the end of the variation, you'd have discoveries with the bishop on e6, right? So it's not even really a threat yet.
But it's coming to fruition. Queen b2, hitting the pawn. Maybe another plan is something like rook d1, and rook d1 defends the pawn on d3, and maybe you can play your bishop out to b3. Those of you coming in from the raid, welcome to the show. We are watching the Magnus Carlsen Tour Finals. It's like the biggest online chess event in the past 6 to 8 weeks, until it ends in 2 days. It's the best of 7 finale between Hikaru Nakamura and Magnus Carlsen, the current world champion of chess. It is overall 3-2 Hikaru, but in today's mini match, it is 2-1 Magnus, and Hikaru is in a must-win situation right now, playing with the white pieces to save today's match and send it to a Blitz playoff.
That would be fun, Levy. And who's the raid? Welcome, Raiders.
It was Rexodus, streams Dota 2. I've never tried Dota. I've been instructed that I should try Dota. I've also been instructed to try Fall Guys and other fun games. So we've got a queue of games that we have to try.
What about poker?
Well, I love poker, but I can't really play it. You know, like I can't play online tournaments because I feel like I'll just lose money. I'm not good enough yet. But I play with friends all the time. Well,
okay.
Not in the past 6 months, but before that.
All right, so you got a little check raise in you. Now, queen d6 was just played to fortify that pawn on e5. Now, what happens if I play rook a6? Because I am obviously excited about pinning your knight and advancing my rook. But Hikaru didn't do it because he probably saw something wrong with it. Maybe just rook a8, something simple. And now instead he played knight to e2. So what's he trying to do? I guess he's saying like his knight was on g3 and f5 and h5 were perfectly occupied. So maybe he just didn't see a future there anymore.
I guess that must have been it, because the knight on g3 doesn't get to f5 and h5. Hikaru is just bringing both knights back. Yeah, he has to play for a win. It's not so simple. Not so simple. What is so bad about this? It is quite passive, this setup, and it seems like you need a few more moves to stabilize everything and maybe try to. Well, f4 is a nice idea, by the way. That could work.
Yeah, and when we moved our knight away from G3, F4 became a possibility because takes F4 doesn't hit that knight on G3 anymore.
Yep, and 7 is a nice, being up a piece is good. This just in, sometimes we learn the absolute basics of chess. Being up material is definitely some sort of advantage. Ooh, bishop c8 is a grandmaster move. He wants to play knight e6, knight d4. Is that the point?
Yeah, also just adds extra protection to e5, right? Because our bishop is in the way. There's so many things that this move could do. What else? It also, maybe we could play like, I don't know. I think that's the main reason. Fortify e5 and look for knight e6, knight d4. But I think that, so what happens on your idea now of f4?
Well, he can't take. I'm assuming he goes knight e6 and just laughs at us and says, is this really what you're going to do? And then the question becomes, what are we doing? Are we taking e5 or are we pushing?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'd probably take on an e5. f5, and I'm not feeling very optimistic about that with you sinking a beautiful knight into d4.
Maybe take on e5, but then just like bishop e5 or knight e5 I don't like because it seems like there's d4, although it does strike me as a little bit loose. Oh, but there's no knight c4 because the knight is covering. Go back, but bishop e5 is really the problem. Don't have d4. I control that with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. Or not getting d4.
This game is incredibly complicated still. I see people in the chat predicting that Hikaru won't win this or will win this. I got to tell you, it's just way too early to call. It's just super complex with 8 minutes on the clock for both players. So I can certainly see this going either way. Well, all of 3 ways, really.
Yeah, with 7 minutes each in a must-win situation for Hikaru, I think you don't really, you can't ask for much better than a position where you only have traded 2 pawns. And then you keep as many pieces on the board, maximize the chance that something goes wrong. The problem is, your opponent also has a full army of pieces, completely equipped to fight you. No, it's not so simple. And maybe Jen, he just plays rook f1, preparing f4. But how long can you stall? You know, how long can you play like nothing moves, just moves that don't do much?
I like that. I like rook f1. It's always nice when you're in a must-win situation to just keep the tension, because as soon as you break the tension and there's a bunch of trades, you're playing against the world champion, and there's a good chance he's going to find ways to consolidate. So I like the idea of rook f1 and put the move back on Magnus, increase the tension. It'd be great if things open up when both players have like 2 minutes left, because I think chaos will benefit Nakamura since he's the one who's in the must-win situation. If things open up now, everybody's gonna, Mag's more likely to find all the right moves. So rook f1 is a very subtle move that I like a lot. Let's see if Hikaru plays it. If he plays like you, Levy.
Well, what I always say is that it's either really good on my part or really bad on his if he's playing moves that I'm suggesting. So I don't think he can play f4 right now, because after knight e6 he's just got to deal with this on f4 being under attack. And the bigger question is, you can't play rook f1 after you play f4 because I just take, right? That's the problem. That's the problem. Take on f4 and g7, knight g7.
So look at this. He didn't play any of the moves we looked at. He played rook to a8.
Whoa.
I don't understand. There's no threat with this move, right?
It's a cool move. The rook promotes.
What's the point? Yeah, what's the point? Bishop b7, what happens? I just have to move it away, right? But the bishop's not very special on b7 because e4 is not a target. So maybe he's just saying like that bishop b7 doesn't help Magnus. You have to either trade rooks or move the rook back if you play it, though.
Right. I'm a little bit confused. Okay, Magnus just blitzes out bishop f8, which I can explain because I think it attacks the b4 pawn. I think that is just his idea. I'm still confused though. Oh, and also he's stopping f4?
Why did he? Oh, he stopped at 4 because he's removing himself from the pin. Okay,
Yeah, I guess
see
so.
what you're saying.
Right, rook
And he
b1.
was yeah, just defending the pawn on b4, but that's not a good sign. We're not excited to be in defensive mode here. Although I would love to sink a knight into c5. I just don't think I'm gonna have the time for white, right? Because if I ever play that, you'll be able to take on b4. So
Yes.
the
Okay.
last few moves have not been as promising for Nakamura, but there's still plenty of tension left in the game. As you mentioned earlier, Levy, the entire army for both players is still in the mix, right?
Yes.
All of the pieces in rook still on the board.
And the last time we said that, they both had about 7.5 minutes. Now the situation is such that they both have less than 6. So the longer this goes on, you know, the higher the chance that the guy with less time makes some sort of mistake. Now, obviously, in trying to have Hikaru win this game and force a blitz playoff, he has to be more precise. At the same time, Jana, I've been seeing this move thrown around the viewing audience, the super grandmasters in the chat, trying to say that bishop takes h3 is an idea.
Okay, bishop takes h3. Now, do know that Carlsen, if he sees a draw by perpetual check, ripping open that king, that's going to be game over for the match. Match over, not game over. So he's certainly going to be looking at things like bishop h3. Bishop h3 does attack that rook on a8, so you probably have to take time out for the in-between move, rook takes d8, right? So
yes, exactly.
Bishop h3,
so
rook d8.
Huh? D8 or queen d8? Rook d8, probably.
Okay, we'll try rook d8, and then after pawn takes h3. Let's see, why is this good for black?
Because it's not about knight takes h3. It's that black has time to play queen e6 and queen h3. Yeah. Okay.
Queen e6, right, or queen d7, yeah.
And if you try to run your king to f1, I think an e1, queen h1 is a bad thing that's gonna happen, because after knight f1, knight f3, it is game over. And Magnus did not play bishop h3. He played literally the most distant move that he could have played, bishop d7. He did not go to h3.
Yeah, bishop d7, okay. So still threatening, probably compelling rook takes d8, right? I imagine that is Hikaru's idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to think, you know, because of the match situation, at some point Hikaru should just go for it and play f4. You take, I play d4. Just roll the pawns up the board and see what happens. I mean, he'll calculate also. He'll calculate, but from our perspective, roll them up. All in, as we say in poker. Well, nothing to lose.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, if you lose the game, you still lose. You have to win, so you have to play for something. Rook a6 pins the knight, but whoops, queen d5 was not played. That was me clicking a square. I apologize. I would imagine that we get bishop c8, which attacks the a6 rook. And Hikaru is not going to repeat, so he has to do something. Has to do something. Saying. Oh, but he plays rook a8. He doesn't even repeat.
Instead, rook a8. Okay.
Wait, but now your idea. Takes and f4, and e5 and d4.
Right, or d4 right away. Yeah, like I'm not. Do I want to play e5 first? F4. Like if rook takes a8, f4. The cool thing is your rook has been removed from the e file, so I have even more security that I can play for this idea.
Exactly, e5 and d4. Now, if your rook is on f1, life is easier, but your rook cannot be on f1. It's to guard b4 since the knight, queen, and the bishop are all hitting that square.
Yeah, f4 is very compelling. I mean, h4 is another possibility, but I don't think I like it as much because then when you move your knight to e6, you're protecting the f4 square. But it is what he played. Maybe
Yeah.
he's trying to play for h5.
And knight f3 hitting e5. So now the question is, will Magnus play f6 or bishop g7?
I think bishop g7 because that row of pawns on h6, g6, and f6 looks a little bit weak.
A little bit weak.
That's
Also
like throwing your
g7.
shield open a little.
Bishop on g7 also defends d4.
Why can't we play f4 now, Levy?
I know, just through the pawn. Just play f4. It's not letting me. Software glitch.
Yes. Special en passant like move once in a while.
f4 would probably
no.
be winning here. It would just be winning. Or
I know, and that was kind of what he was trying to do all that time. Get f4 in and then move the knight back to f3, but somehow the timing never quite worked out. So here we are. And what do we do now? Our bishop on c2 is not good. Our rook on b1 is not good. So my plan as white would be to try to improve one of those two pieces because my queen's doing a good job, my bishop's doing a good job, and my knight on f3 is doing a good job.
b3 played. So 4 minutes apiece. Still all the pieces on the board with the exception of the rook, which was just traded. But this is what you have to do. I mean, this is what you have to do to win these things. One of the reasons we've seen so many decisive games between the players in Blitz is because they start with just around this amount of time, a little bit higher. So by the time they get to move 29, the margin of error is far higher, right? And that's why Blitz is kind of exciting. Like they just make more mistakes, which makes them look more human.
Well, the chat is very happy with the amount of time Hikaru has right now because he's ahead a minute by Magnus, right?
That is why.
That's why.
That is why we've got 4 minutes and 20 seconds for Hikaru. Knight d4.
Exactly 1 minute more, right? But then there it is, this move, knight on c to d4. I've been complaining about that knight on c6 for a while, saying that it was blocking my Magnus's c pawn from getting into the action. So that's understandable. I'm a little worried about these trades, Magnus. I mean, I'm a little worried about these trades, Levy, because as pieces get traded, the juice in the position is just dying down, and maybe how does Hikaru keep the tension?
He's got to take. He can't let that knight exist on d4. The question is, what does he take with? My gut tells me to take with the knight, but my desire to imbalance the position tells me take with the bishop. At least, and that's what he does. Wow, and plays f4.
There it is. People like that. People in the chat are excited that I accidentally called you Magnus.
Did you? I didn't even notice. See it.
You don't notice. See, it could be worse, right? So lots of cool potential tactics here now. With e5, bishop d5. There's still a lot of tactics. I mean, this is definitely not drawn. I was excited when all the pieces were on the board, but I still think this is really imbalanced. e5 is a threat. h5 is a possibility too.
Yeah, there's still enough to play here.
e5 now. He's done it.
Done it. And the idea being that, this pawn is never under attack, friendos, because you can play bishop takes f7 and then there is queen takes b4. And he's giving d4 for h4. Right.
This is definitely getting exciting now, but that's going to be very dangerous after queen h4. Now you see this pawn on e5. Eventually it could land on e6 and Magnus's king is going to be stripped open.
Yeah, this is the most exciting part of the game, as we saw in the last time that Hikaru had an endgame, and he got a pawn, he created winning chances, he actually was totally winning at the end. Now we get queen f2, probably, I would imagine, a queen trade.
We could also just snatch that pawn right away. Knight takes b5, greed is good. Or is it? Knight takes b5, queen f2.
C1.
Okay. Well, he's going after a more important pawn because that pawn on c7 will also be threatening bishop f7. And you even have to watch out sometimes for just like bishop f7 straight away there could be some fun tactics, right? Just
Ooh,
bishop f7 and rook c7 and queen a2.
that is really scary. Bishop f7. The problem is that Hikaru cannot repeat moves, and if he invests all these pieces but doesn't win, whoa.
Well, he's played queen c3.
Eval bar
to
just
threaten.
fell off a cliff. What just happened?
He's trying to play threaten bishop takes f7 or queen c7, right? So what does black have now? Why did the eval bar go bananas? Let's see.
I don't have moves on, and I'm too scared to turn turn.
I'm hearing from the chat queen g3, threatening queen e3, and there it is. Magnus played it. Queen g3.
Oh
no.
f4 e3. Oh, and you just can't play queen d2. But what if you take on c7? Then there's rook d4. Wait, no, there isn't rook d4. What am I talking about? Then queen f7.
Okay, so if queen c7, let's try to figure out what's going to happen. I think the problem is I can start taking things with check, Levy. Like queen c7, don't I have queen e3 check? And then, oh, you have king you have king h1. Okay.
I was thinking to, king h1 on queen e3.
You have king h1, so that should be okay.
But queen takes c7. There's a threat on f7. What are we missing?
Queen c7 was played. Well, I mean, you're not threatening mate on f7, right? So if I do play my move queen e3 check, forcing king h1, I am able to play. Oh, you're saying if rook d4, then queen f7 is mating. But look at this move, rook d7. Even stronger idea by Magnus, just preventing queen takes f7 and getting a check in on the queen. On guard. Now we got to check it, Hikaru.
Yeah, there's a queen d4. I mean, if you give a check, the king hides, and the knight is under attack. f4 and e3 are all under attack.
Yeah, too many things, and we can't play knight f3 because bishop takes f3, so we can't even defend two of the ideas at once. Queen c8 check, king h7, and there will be 3 different threats by Magnus. Potentially too many. But let's see if Hikaru comes up with something. He does play queen c8 check.
Rook a1. The idea being, oh wait, no, but rook d4. You can't even play rook a8 because the queen is hanging.
That's right. Rook d4 is threatening the queen. E6. This was his idea, but there's nothing quite there. We still need a couple moves to threaten checkmate, don't we? And rook takes f4, and it looks like you're gonna get there first. If pawn takes f7.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and he just resigned. I mean, because bishop d4 and queen h4 is mate. Yeah, that is wow, that came out of nowhere. I mean, it seemed like it was pretty under control. And then, well, it wasn't the craziest position to begin with in terms of trying to create winning chances. You have to play bishop takes d4, otherwise you play knight takes d4 and you just chill. But wow. Wow. It is 3-3.
3-3. Well, big match tomorrow, Levy. This is, of course, just ratcheting up the excitement for tomorrow. Yeah, I liked Hikaru's opening in this game. I felt like he got a good chance, but Magnus played really well, right? I mean, he played well, and he kept counterpunching, and in the end, the loss and the draw would have been the same. So.
Yeah, tomorrow we have to come back as usual. And Hikaru's going to join us in a second. Just music off. Okay, so Jen, when Hikaru joins, Zoom does a really weird thing where it puts him as you. So when he joins, could you just turn off your camera and turn it back on, and you'll be in the right spot.
Okay.
So, but only once he turns.
I need to go
on.
into my Zoom settings. 1 second. Got it.
Just off and on. Hey,
Hey,
Hikaru.
how's it going?
Okay, so Jen, just flip. We'll put Hikaru at the bottom.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to maximize it again. There we are. And stop video. There we go.
Turn it back on. Because we don't see you. There we go. Okay, perfect. Hikaru, how are you? I guess I was going to ask, I don't know, well, the fourth game, there is just Queen G3, I guess. Yeah, it's just...
Yeah, I mean, what I would say about most of the matches is there were like probably, I would say 2 to 3 critical moments, and I didn't find the right moves. Like in this last game, I just forgot about Rook D8. Like when I played Rook C1, that wasn't my intention. I was originally going to play Knight B5 or Queen F2, and then for some reason I thought of Rook C1. And as soon as he plays Rook D8, I mean, maybe there's some way that you can hold the game, but the winning chances I think are completely gone after I allow his Rook D8. I mean, I'm sure the computer will say it's okay for white, but the chances to win the game, which is the only result that matter at this point, are gone. So that was a very disappointing finish. And I would say today in general, unlike the other days, I am actually a little bit unhappy because I didn't feel like Magnus outplayed me. I felt like in the first game I lost control for a move or two. In the second game, I was winning at the end, and then I just I blundered with this Rook C3. And then also I thought in this fourth game I had chances I was probably better, not winning but better, so I had chances. And then I just played one really bad move, and that completely cost me any chances. So I'm a little bit more unhappy with the result today because I didn't actually feel like Magnus outplayed me. So I'm pretty unhappy from that standpoint. At the same time, having said that, I felt that I didn't play my best chess today, and I still had opportunities in the second game and the fourth game to keep the match close and potentially win. So that's the upside. And obviously, I think by far it was my worst day of the finals. But again, it's only 3-3, and there's still another match tomorrow. And I feel pretty good still. I'm just unhappy because of the way I lost today, more so than the actual result.
Right.
How long does it take you to feel happy again after a tough day at the office?
I mean, I'll be fine within an hour easily, but it's more the fact that when you lose, you want to feel like you were soundly outplayed. That's kind of the point. Is like when you're soundly outplayed and like, let's say you play well, your opponent finds better moves, you can't really be unhappy with the result. But when you feel like you didn't play great chess, your opponent didn't really play great chess either, and things didn't go your way, then I think in general, it's harder to be happy. But again, I'll probably take a quick perusal of the games after this, and just go about my day like I have for the last week. And so, it happens, but it's still only 3-3, and we go again tomorrow for the final match.
Yeah, I was like game by game. This first game. I mean, first of all, it seems like today the analysis is going to be pretty rich because it did feel like even in the span, like they weren't just. Like with the exception of the third game, which was this, repetition Berlin. By the way, on the side note, did that surprise you at all or not really? Because
no, I actually expected that. And I would say before the game, I was trying to figure out if I should kind of go for broke with black and play something else. I actually was considering that in the third game, whether I should. But yeah, it's not a big deal at any rate. In the first game also, I think I just fell asleep at the wheel. For some reason, after Rook C5, I didn't just take this knight, which was just insane, really. So that game was very wild. I mean, again, Magnus also didn't play perfectly because I think he was completely winning, and then he played this Rook D1 move, allowing Rook D6, and then it's game on. And I don't know, there's some computer nonsense with B4 or something that's supposed to draw or hold or something that literally no human would ever understand.
Right.
Like what is it? It's like Bishop D4 B4. Is that what it is?
Yeah, and then if he plays his F pawn, you sack the queen. You play BA3. But that's
Wait, but why can't he take on B4? What's the difference?
We didn't. At that point, Aryan was here, and we just kind of also just were like, okay, whatever. He can take.
Yeah, I mean, okay, like this is this is computers for you. Like, I mean, okay, the computer clear. It's okay because you have Queen B3. Is that maybe that's the point? Is that you have Queen B3? That's the reason it's okay. But again, like for a human, like I mean, this is really a little bit absurd. I'm not even sure in a normal game that a human would see that. It's just weird.
I don't know how much analysis you did game to game between 1 and 2 on the specific, like the attack and all. There was, when you do the analysis both on your own and later when you do it for Twitch, there's some ridiculous stuff. Like both Aryan and I agreed, like Rook G8 after Queen H4 looked very human-like, but there's some
the move that I consider, which apparently is okay, is I did consider Rook E8, but I thought after Rook E8, White could just play a move like H3, stopping the back rank ideas, and I didn't know what my next move was. Apparently, I think the computer says somehow this holds after H3. This is actually why I didn't play Rook E8. I thought he could just play H3, and I didn't see my next move. I don't like, because the whole point is if White plays Rook takes C6 there, I have Rook C6 Bishop instead of H3.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
If Rook C6, Rook C6, Bishop D4, Bishop F5, I think Black is okay. But I thought after so Bishop D4, Bishop F5. So I thought that after H3, I didn't see my next move. And that was kind of the reason I didn't do that. I played Rook G8. Like, I don't know. I'm again, like, there's some computer line that probably is completely fine here.
Always.
But I mean, I'm supposed to run with the king to G. No, but King G8, Queen H6, I thought was, I don't know. I mean, it's way too hard to calculate.
Rook G5 is, I mean,
there's something. Maybe it's King G7. I don't know. But I think it's a bit much for a human. The big mistake was that I didn't take the knight on F5. That was the big mistake. If I take the knight on F5, then I mean the whole game would have been a lot different. I mean I don't think that I would have lost the game. Probably it's about equal after Bishop F5. But for some reason I just underestimated this Queen H4. I just forgot that he had this Rook C6, and I just miscalculated, and it was unfortunate. But that's how it goes. So it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
The second game is much more tragic though, because at the end I was just winning. If I go King E6 instead of Rook C3.
Right.
So
what was the story behind Rook C3? What happened there?
Well, I just forgot he could throw in the check, so I thought I could go Rook C3, G3, and just win the game.
Okay, yeah, that's what I said. I was like, people were saying mouselet, but chat just goes crazy.
Yeah, I mean to be fair, I'm sure this was a draw and Magnus misplayed it. Like I thought, like I don't even know why he went for this active defense, because I think he could have brought the king to the center and it was just a draw.
Yeah,
I mean, much of what Magnus did in the second game I didn't understand, because he was a little bit worse out of the opening, and then it was close to equal, and then he played this Bishop D3 move, which was a big mistake, I thought, in the middle game. And yeah, I mean, just at the end, if I go King E6, King D5, and G3, it's just winning. But it happens, and certainly I didn't play great, so that's life. Yeah, like King E6 here wins because I go King D5 and then G3. It's the same idea. But the king stays close to the pawn on E5, and it's just winning. I mean, easily winning. I think it's easily winning. Although I don't know, after C4, C4 King D5 anyway, because if Rook B5 you take with the king. So yeah, this was very unfortunate because I should have won this game. But I think it was just a sign of the critical moments. I didn't really play the best moves both in this game and game 2, and then also in game 4, just at the end, playing Rook C1 and allowing Rook D8 was very, very careless. But yeah, that's how it goes. So again, I didn't play great, but I still have a chance tomorrow to finish it off. So we'll see what happens.
I guess the only thing I wanna get your thoughts on, not even as bait, if you even know what's going on, maybe more in depth than we do. Everyone was relaying to us like Magnus was like on the floor, he's in pain, some injury. Do you have any idea what's going on with that? Or
I have no idea what's going on. I have nothing to say really. I don't know any of the specifics. Yeah, his camera was different. It seemed like he was wearing a t-shirt instead of his usual attire. So I have no idea in terms of what was going on. But again, like you can't really let that affect you. Just try to play good chess and go from there.
Well, I think we'll let you go. Thanks for joining even after you know, such a day. But yeah, we look forward to the stream later, the analysis, more Fall Guys, or what's the plan?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'll keep doing what I'm doing. It's what the fans want. Again, I am a streamer as well. I'm not just a chess player, so there is that little bit. But yeah, I think the main thing is kind of that I think I played really poor chess today overall, as I said before. And so the fact that I played poor chess and I still have the chance to come back tomorrow and play better is all you can ask for, because you're gonna have days when you don't play great. And when that happens, you know, usually that's it. It's over. But I have a chance tomorrow to play better, and yeah, it's the final match, so we'll see what happens.
Well, a lot of love for you in the chat for tomorrow, Hikaru. Super good luck, and yeah, your analysis stream we'll look forward to as well.
Great.
Guys,
all right, see you guys.
Take care. Till tomorrow.